resume section of the Budget Committee meetings. Today's date is 25th of July. I think the first one up is Court 0232. Is that correct? Concerns from the committee?
I had down in my notes that 33310, it should be 50,000. Is that what they, oh no, that was that they had used or requested. 33310, yeah, okay. I just want to make sure. That was the second, okay.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
Do we have the information, like, that we usually get the balance and the revenue and all that? The balance and revenue of this, well, this is all general fund, never mind, hello. I guess I need to know, on office supplies, 21000, we've had, $35,000 and $30,000 budgets, but we've never come anywhere close to that I can tell. Like in 2021, we expended $15,389, and it increased because of needing COVID supplies, according to this note here. We know what we've spent so far this year in office supplies. Do we know?
I couldn't hear that number because your mic wasn't on. What was that?
9856. It increased, it says increased to purchase due to need for COVID supplies. Do we know what it increased from to the 35,000 in 21?
So are you saying it was 20,000 in 2020?
She's looking up 2020.
Looks like they did an appropriation out there, right? Came back and asked for it.
In 2020, that was probably COVID. What about, can you go back one more year? Is that possible?
I think that they asked for an increase They requested 35, but they were only granted 30.
But do we know what it was before they asked for that increase? Oh,
And the determination was that there were other resources that we could use for
Yes.
COVID needs.
Yes.
And so they did not increase the budget to 30,000. But if you want them to look up historically what they've spent on office supplies for the last 2 or 3 years.
well, it looks like in 2020, you said 21,000, then in 2021, 30,295, wow.
In 2019, it was 31,000.
What they spent.
That's what they spent out of the 35, okay.
Yeah, and Calista, that's what said, we paid for some of that out of the coronavirus fund then, so that's why we decreased some of those.
Yeah.
I remember that.
So, yeah, it looks like in 2021, they only spent 15,389, probably because the offices were closed due to COVID, or everything was down due to COVID in 2021.
But then, well, that's the total budget, 2022.
21 was 21. Yeah, the coronavirus fund was used
Okay.
to pay for a lot of that. That's why, like she said, we decreased them back down to keep them about the same, I believe, and told them to purchase it out of the,
Okay, so, I'm trying to wrap my head around all this. In 2022, there was an adjustment to the budget of 4,036
what was a carry forward, probably.
transferred in, or,
No, it's probably their encumbrance. They normally do, for a bill that they might already have. Yep, that was the encumbrance.
okay. Okay.
So if you look at 4,036 was encumbered, that means $5,850 is all that's been spent for 2022.
Cut down a little bit.
Are you looking at potential cuts in there? That's what I'm figuring. Okay.
Think
Well, especially if we're gonna look at some other,
Yeah.
like shift.
maybe 20?
I think that would cover it. I mean, there's only a couple times it's gotten, 15,000 one year.
20. And, okay, foods, having lunch meetings, they're wanting to have more lunch meetings in 2023, to increase their budget from $95 to $500.
I believe Judge Mulligan was in here, and she's talked about they had meetings with the other judges and the sheriff and jail, and
And it was like
when
a
they're doing,
working.
it was a working lunch.
So that's what they're gonna wanna start doing more of in 2023, I guess? Going
I
from
think-
$95 to
Well, yeah, probably
$500.
because when she called to ask where she had a place to pay for it, I told her she had none this year. Out of your own pocket.
Yeah.
Well, and it's probably too, I mean, they did it in 2022. There was 95 in there.
20,
But-
No,
it's
that-
95 transferred in.
They transferred it in because they
Oh.
wanted to have a meeting, and I
Got it.
said,
Oh, yeah, it's
don't
adjusted
have a
there.
place.
Cheryl, has,
Again, the transparency
Board of
thing, trying to
Accounts-
switch.
Yeah.
State Board of Accounts used to be kind of funny about,
You can have it as long as you have, if it's a working meeting. I mean, if it's a meeting and you're working and you're discussing stuff, kind of got a little bit, you got an agenda. I've got all that in writing after
Okay.
the debacles with
some of the other ones.
Christmas. Every time Christmas comes around.
That's once a year.
It's every day at my
So
house.
I got it in writing.
Somebody thinks
and-
it is.
So as long as you're having, if it's a working meeting and you've got some kind of agenda as to what you're doing, you can show them that you have an agenda to your meeting, then you may provide
I mean,
lunch. food, dinner, whatever you want.
5 times what they've done in the past, they're gonna do 5 times more next year than they've done before.
Maybe they're gonna invite us all.
I know that the other funds will do it, but they usually have user fee funds that take care of that. You'll get the prosecutor's office, things like that. It's a slippery slope.
Well, if the prosecutor's office is involved in this meeting,
I know, but I mean,
well, the prosecutor's office,
it's a little slippery, because once you get started, then every department's gonna wanna have working lunches.
yep. If they would cut that back to
I
100.
mean, in there, they try.
More out of like, just setting a precedence for it.
So that we don't, like she said, open the floodgates. I'm sorry for pointing at you.
So what are we doing?
Cutting it to 100.
Okay.
Give them
I
$5
just wanna make sure I got
extra.
the numbers right.
Okay, I guess supplemented drug court, they're not asking for anything this year, which I don't understand what is, the court is. Okay, that's where the 50,000 to the court goes from?
That is 100,000, and it's out of correctional rehab, I believe. Lit correctional rehab. is where-
Brenda, it was put in there last year for advertising purposes to put under the courts, is where it originally was, and we moved it to, we had it out of both, and we
It was
actually.
originally in the council budget,
That's what I was gonna
Yeah.
say, is that where it originally came from,
Yeah.
the council budget?
and then it was advertised in the courts, and then it came out of
Of
rehab, I believe.
Rehab, right.
Okay, so it went into there for this year's, but then we're not asking it to carry forward. to
They didn't put it
2023.
in, and I did not put it in this time. That supplement to drug court, I actually put in, because I didn't know what was happening, so it should be.
It's in correctional rehab.
That's what I
just
mean,
on
that's where I
correctional,
put it this year.
Well,
due
that's
to the
where
fact that's
it
where
was
was
funded
adopted
this
last
year.
I think that makes sense too.
But no one asked for it, just so you know. I guess I am. I don't.
Well, it's not requested in the 2023 budget, so.
In the lit correctional rehab, it's in
It
there.
is.
Yeah.
I just looked.
Okay,
Yeah,
well,
I was gonna say, whew, better
That
double
one
check
will
if
get
I
there,
didn't
I
do it.
Well, then all these different supplemental things, I'm sorry, you were gonna
No,
ask that. I
you're
took
right.
off
No,
on
go
it.
ahead.
Community corrections and work release, is that, I guess, okay. Okay. The work release, 75,000 pays for drug screen? Community corrections, drug screens. And we've spent so far $6,841 this year of the 32.5. Okay.
I was thinking they went pretty well through that budget too.
Oh, they do.
Yeah,
Supplement to
They do.
community corrections,
yeah,
they used
for
to.
the drug screening.
They used to be anywhere from 27 to 30,000, somewhere in there.
Well, it was not, it doesn't show that it was even asked for
As
until
a-
2022.
As of today.
Because they didn't ask for it in 2022. That was an auditor's office call saying that it should be funded out of the court's budget and not the council budget.
Oh my, that was drug court.
Which knows of all of those. I mean, it was
And
the
community
community
corrections
corrections,
also.
because that used to be in the
Community
council
I guess
budget
not
as
remember
well.
that one.
Hmm?
Have you been sending them in?
No,
June doesn't.
But prior to that, it was in the council budget, right?
yes.
And last year, it was switched from the council budget, along with this 50,000 from the council budget into the court.
And I think it's because Bill Watson is working with the courts, and, I mean, he's like the coordinator of the whole thing now for services, so.
And same with the work release, indigent, 75,000. Yep, okay, you were looking up, I guess, how much has been spent so far. Go back to 30042, community corrections, how much? is
As of
spent?
today,
Yes.
6,841.16.
So it's still that.
Historically, do they go through that?
So that would be Yeah, because that's what they want. I gotta-
Yeah, if you wanna look at the history, well,
I gotta look at, go to the other,
Council budget.
yeah, if it's there. It's not active, I don't know if it's still showing.
I just gotta go back.
Yeah, it is.
Last year, they spent 18,725.76.
It's in the council budget. So, out of the council budget, there's 1814 spent in 2022 for community corrections.
That was a, probably an encumbrance.
Probably an encumbrance.
Encumbered
Okay.
from
2020.
21.
Yeah, that was an encumbrance.
But they only spent 18,726 in 2021. Can we look at the council?
Well, if you would've spent, no, that is the council's 18,
I know, but I mean, prior to that, since it was in the council all the way up till,
and if you would really take the 18,000 that I originally gave you, plus the
Plus the
1,800
1,800.
that was carried forward, you're looking close to 20,
20,000.
20,700.
yeah.
Okay. So 20,000 for 2021. Do we happen to have the council's 30042 expenditure in 2020?
Yep, 17,724.63.
It was low that year because of, COVID.
One year back? You got 2019? They're not spending it. It's sitting there.
31,156.
2019, they spent 31,156. 2020, 17,724.63. So far in 2022, 45, 20,540 looks like. So
Calissa,
far.
though, wasn't that back when they were actually paying some other people that were drug screeners? That's what it looks like. And now,
What it
now
was-
they've gone to, what's his name, and,
The whole time I did it, they had it where they were paying two people. And
Yes.
a lot of times
That's
there
why
would
it
be
doesn't show up any
a vacancy,
prior to that.
and they'd only
Look at
have
the
one
council
person
budget
on
and see
staff.
where it all was.
that's
And-
why I think it was more, though, because now they've gone to,
Oh, an outside
I think
agency
so.
that does,
That-
so they
that's
don't,
what I want to look at, because that's
Oh.
what I think.
well, you'd have to go back to the claim to see the,
Yeah, that's what I'm going to look
the
at.
report
because-
that's filed, cause mine, I always got
They've never
where it
spent
listed the employees
Right,
and how many hours they work per week or per pay period, I can't remember which it was
I
now.
gotta look at it, let's see if I can pull one up.
I couldn't tell, so are you saying now it's an outside contractor or prior
I'm
to?
gonna look real quick.
Okay.
I gotta
They were
pull up
saying
the
it might be an
claim and
outside
look.
contractor.
I could be wrong, but it seems that the amount is so much lower that,
Everything
But if you get paid out of drug testing instead of, you think it's getting paid out of drug testing instead of out of supplement to community corrections?
Well, it would be drug testing. This is all urine testing and drug screens.
Well, I know, but what I'm saying is that,
Reimbursement
Are they-
reimbursement for drug screeners, and this is what she turns in. No, the 60/40 supplement to, or 60/42 supplement to community corrections is this bill I'm looking at. Judy, 3044 is work release, 30042 supplement to community corrections, 6,841.16. And let's see,
Contractual services.
6,841.16, right there.
is that how many, was that one check or is that?
That's paying from December 21 to March of 2022.
How are they December 21, when I encumbered?
Well, December 28th was the pay period to 1/10/2022.
Oh,
It's the pay period.
and then nothing since then?
Not,
We may want to check on that and see what's going on with that then. You want me to call June about that?
well, no, I'll look at it, because it's, community corrections sends it to them. It's from Tracy.
Y'all,
Patreon.
but Tracy will normally like, but Tracy normally let you know if you miss a payment or if you're off a penny.
Yeah, I mean, it was sent over by Tracy. Drug screens for March 2022.
Oh, for 2022.
Because there is one for drug screens, but that's a different amount. And that says urine screens, oral screens, and sober link.
Still on 30042.
Yes,
And then I have the indigent.
well, 4-1.
So, Calissa,
Oh, sorry, 4-2.
those are the same way as you did them.
Which ones?
The ones, the 30042. They have pay
But-
periods.
But is there only one claim so far?
Yes. Maybe they don't work very often. I don't know.
I told June it wouldn't be very much work, but I thought it'd be a little bit more than that.
Well, because they've got another bill in here for the drug screens. I mean, and then they've got the indigent. They've got it all broke down.
Yeah, I guess I would have thought, not, I wondered if they're using the drug testing line instead of
Yeah. Let me look.
the supplement to community corrections.
Well, I mean, that's one that question, but
Well, let me see.
so they've spent that much.
That's what
Let me
the
look at
supplement
this
to
one.
community corrections was for, and it kind of was when they did away with drug court originally, this is the way to pay for the drug screeners. Then when drug court came back, we didn't have ways, so we just kept it going.
Supplement to drug-
So instead of sending them somewhere else, community corrections would do the drug screen for us. And then we reimburse them for the cost of drug screens. Correct. 20,000.
That's my computer. Not really being funky.
So we're doing 4442.
Which one?
Requesting additional multiple. That's from work.
When this was probably the most beneficial is during COVID, because the people that were in work release did not have the ability to get a job because they weren't available, people weren't working. And this funded their fees, or however they're charged to stay at community corrections. Because they have to have a way to do that, and so this was kind of like a scholarship for them
For the same.
that paid that. And then also what it's done is when somebody's put into that program, if they don't have the ability right away or they don't get a job right away, this kind of buys them some time to find that job and pay. So it keeps them in there instead of back to the jail.
And we've spent 18,965 out
Yeah.
of that account so far this year.
It's what it appears.
And I can see, I guess we spent 2020, or in 2021, 86,000, or 85,770. Still heavily involved in COVID. That makes sense. And it's dropped.
They asked for 150, but it wasn't approved. They only adopted the same 75. But it looks like, I don't know if they did a transfer.
I'm going through the drug screen line item and looking at the claims, Calissa, and there's not been one. I mean, there's not one that has been put in.
Okay, well, at least we know they're not paying for it out of that then.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I've been looking at, that in the indigent,
I think that
so.
would be enough, I mean, I just think Board
Supplement for the two employees or whatever they are.
I mean, could very well be that with jobs being readily available, that they're able to find employment now. I mean, everybody has a help wanted sign up.
Absolutely.
Yeah, right.
I mean, as long as you have employers out there that are willing to hire on employees with a record.
A lot of them seem to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
I think there's a good working relationship in the community with them.
We feel like since we've only spent 18,965 this year, we're gonna drop that one to 45.
The what, which one, I'm sorry?
Supplement to work
Supplement
release.
Supplement to work release?
30044.
And you wanna drop it to 45?
Yes, please.
Okay.
And bond employee, I'm not sure, there's not been any expenditures out of that, but it's $100. Is that a placeholder for something, for some reason? 30200, bond employee.
I would think they'd be covered under the
That might be.
county umbrella.
That might just be an old one that they've,
It's been in there a long time.
yeah.
Okay, zero that one out. I'm sorry, I'm just jumping right over there.
Can I ask real quick? The supplement to community corrections, though, did you leave it at 32.5 or did I miss something?
25.
25, okay, sorry.
That's okay. I apologize, 'cause I'm kind of jumping around.
I got it. Yeah, I got everything else.
Oh, yeah.
Legal services, 30700, what kind of legal services court have?
In the event they have, I don't know if they have to bring some professional in.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Let me, or is that
Or
the
if they
pro,
get
that's
sued.
the
For
pro
pro
tems?
And then there's
No, there's a
pro tem line.
Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
30.
Maybe if they get sued. I don't know.
Is it yeah,
I mean, they had,
errors and omissions, that'd be under insurance or something.
yeah. It looks like they expended something in 21.
Yeah, I'm looking.
Nothing so far in 22.
And nothing anywhere near the 7,000.
They transferred out in 21.
2,500 Luna Lane, Central
We
Indiana.
adjusted it down
Oh.
to zero, it looks
Isn't
like.
that, in that, well, one of the things is to the,
Moving on.
it's the interpreting. Luna,
Oh, yeah.
you know what I'm talking about, David? They
Yeah.
have an interpreter.
Does that come
I mean,
under that?
Luna Language Services
don't
in
they-
Central Indiana interpreting, and then there's like a private individual that,
Earbuds.
Are they, maybe it's dropped because have they been using their grant, don't they have a grant for that too?
yeah. But that's what, so far in 21, that's what that was used for.
That's what it was.
For the, all the interpreters.
For the legal services account, the. 30
Yeah, I mean, that's what they
2,500.
paid for it out of, I guess they,
Yeah,
3,000.
25.
to me, that's contractual, but oh well,
Yeah.
I guess.
I didn't see that as legal, yeah, I'm kinda with you there,
What
But
do you think about 3,000?
that's fine.
We're gonna drop that one to 3,000.
And then there's another drug testing
Nothing
one.
other, and we're doing drug testing as, and also drug screen. I guess for drug screens, it's for community corrections, but the drug testing one,
Is that one, that's probationary?
that's coming from community corrections too, but it's for probation, from what I gather, I think,
transferred out 6,000.
from speaking with Bill Watson or something.
Spent 44,900.
The drug screen, well, it's the drug screens that the court orders.
Are they at 28.9 for this year? That number changed?
Oh, sorry, I was on last year's, they expended 44 last year.
Yeah, 44,905, yeah.
44,905. I can tell you what they've spent as of today. They have spent, 48,602, is that right?
What is it?
48?
Let me look, 31,000 and in the courts. Sure have.
48,000 so far this year.
Yep, 48,602.
So they must have just paid a big bill?
They did in July 21st and June 30th. They're spending a little over $10,000 a month.
Drug testing, wow.
Wonder why they didn't increase it then?
Yeah,
Got no idea.
they didn't.
We'll
Evidently,
hear
they
about
think
that
they can
later.
buy with it, yeah.
Question.
That's kinda interesting, in 21, they transferred 6,000 out,
Yeah.
in 22, they're gonna be out of money. I do think they have a new drug
Don't you-
tester.
Didn't we, I don't know, Bill mentioned something about this only in passing to me. I thought because they've taken on doing probations or something, and so now it was gonna cost more, and, because the kind of conversation I had with him was he was gonna get his money back,
Well, I think that,
one way or the other.
it's my understanding that they contracted with somebody else to do their drug testing. I've heard that somewhere, I can't remember where I heard it from now.
Yeah, but I mean, this was part of it, because he had to take on probation, or somebody didn't have somebody to do drug screens, so he agreed to take it on, and,
Yeah, but this is coming out of the court's budget.
yeah, well, it's, the vendor is Vigo County Community Corrections,
Oh,
yes. Yep,
So we moved to.
maybe that's why he doesn't need to supplement to work release.
I just remember in passing, because I wasn't sure that I agreed with it, but, they had taken on, and it looks like it's a bunch of, when I just pulled this one up, probations.
So you'll leave that at 55?
That number, who knows? Like 2019?
The judge pro tem, that's significantly low. 775, is that all that's been spent this year on that one? 32,290.
Is that the right to bring your judge in?
They get legal reps.
$25 a day?
For the judge?
Well, how long
That's
does it
what it
take
is.
to get through 3,000 then?
Yeah, because they spent
They
775.
have spent $900.
They spent $900 this year. They spent 1,800 last year.
Is there one in juvenile court for Judge? Real quick. Yes, it's in there too, because I was thinking about the letter we got for the request.
You guys dropping that down? 2,500, I don't know, just, because we're already up to what, about 1,000? How much did you say we spent?
900.
900 even.
We spent 1,800 last year.
I would feel better at 2,500, but,
Okay.
What'd you say?
I just would feel, we were talking between 2 or 2,500. I said I'd feel better with 2,500, just to have a little bit of a kind of cushion in case.
And Brenda's gonna throw out 2250.
2250.
Sold. Is there a way for you to tell me on 32,320 per diem pettit jury what they spent in 2019?
It's just what, 485 last year? This year so far?
I think maybe there's.
Come on, system. Maybe we saw
2021 was pretty high though, right? 29?
So far, there's been 4,068. Yeah, 4,068 as of now.
It's very little.
In 19, they spent 22,000. Is that what you asked?
Yes.
22.
We're just wondering if pre-COVID had anything to do with it. And then 2021, they spent 29,000. 2020, if you have it, if you have access to it, I guess.
2020 was 18,000.
And so far this year, 485.
No, 4,000 now. We just ran a big one. $4,068. 21, it was 29,000. Guess it kind of depends on if you get any big jury trials.
Okay, we're gonna drop that one to 30,000.
What'd you drop it to?
30.
30.
Sure. Yes, because we did switch another one. Now that I think about it.
No, you go ahead.
21,000, office supplies dropped to 20,000. 25,400, we decided we didn't wanna open the door at all, so we dropped that to 0. Yes,
What'd you drop office supplies to?
20,000,
Oh, you dropped foods to 0 now?
yes.
Okay.
What did we drop this for?
Yeah, I got 20,000 off supplies. I got
20,000 for 21,000, line 21,000, $20,000.
Food to 0.
Oh, we took
And
out
then
the
30,
100.
or excuse me, 25,400 foods to 0.
Okay.
30042 supplemental community corrections, 25,000.
So they can transfer from
30044 supplement to work release indigent, 45,000. 30200 bond, 0. 30700 legal services, 3,000. 32,290 judge pro tem, 2,500. 32,320 per diem pettit jury, 30,000.
Whew. Had them all but the 100 to 0.
Okay. So. Okay, 32, 330 lodging and food for the jury. Can we look at some pre-COVID numbers? Because it says that there was an increase to COVID health restrictions, so jurors didn't go back and forth home. When they were going back and forth,
20 was 5,700.
2020 was 5,700.
Mhm.
Okay.
2019 was $6,018.64.
And
Today
21 is 7122, and this year so far,
is 29.57.
and the main reason it jumped to 10,000 was because they were sequestering juries more than allowing them to go back and forth home.
I think it was the same amount because they requested 15 and they were only adopted at 10. It's again the same thing where they said there were other sources to use for COVID expenditures.
But it doesn't look like they've up to 10,000.
No, but I mean,
No, chocolate.
I don't know if
Too
you
much,
have
and
any
they're
big,
getting a lot more trials.
do you know if there's any big jury
But they're not
trials
having
coming
to
up?
sequester them on the hill.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been so many things going on, it's like,
I know. I know.
I mean, maybe not.
That's, personally, I would say keep it the same, and the only reason I say that is because I know they're trying to get caught up.
And what, are there bigger trials that they will have to sequester the jurors more?
Yeah, there could be.
Well, and just even, depending on, like, I know when I was, there were some that we met longer, so we had like lunch, and I think there was one night we had dinner too. I mean, just the expenses went up.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
this
a
one
pretty
pays
big
for
trial.
food and stuff for the jury too. So if they stay past 4 or 5, they feed them
Yeah.
dinner, I think.
Just to play it safe until we balance out all this COVID.
Right. I'm kind of okay with the subscriptions, if I pull the close file.
What dues do they have?
I'm sure that's
probably association
the association for the
dues, like, I don't know if
Yeah.
there's an association
Judges.
of Indiana judges or whatever, like, yeah, council dues.
Payable at the end of the year, probably.
It
Um,
is.
You know, that I don't know. It seems odd.
Let me get you this.
2021, they spent it close to.
So, yeah, Indiana Judge Association, December's when they paid it last year.
Is it? All right.
Mm-hmm.
And 1245 is what they paid.
Yep.
The budget is like, it's always been
then-
1,700, but it's not been that much. Do you think that's gonna go up even?
Yeah, in 2020, it was 1,000. Because I think it used to be $200 per judge, maybe.
Who do we not count?
Well, this last year you would have. 6 courts now, right?
Yeah.
See, we leave it the same. Yeah,
Yeah, but that has to go through legislation.
yeah.
I don't think that'll
I
happen
mean,
in 2023.
it doesn't look like it's changed
Yeah.
much, except the $200 maybe per judge. I was just making sure it wasn't kind of like the auditors, it goes based on salary.
Thirty-two, 701.
And for indigent criminal appeals and civil matters, 32,701, what have we spent so far this year?
That's if someone
Come
loses their
on.
case.
The system is so slow right now. They have spent 29,767.
Can we look at 20 and 19?
leave dues the same?
Yes.
At 19 was $98,156.
Okay.
It just depends if there's appeals going on.
Indigent.
Yep, and in 20, it was 75,368, so.
But it's indigent criminal appeals as opposed, I mean, that's where we're paying for their appeal process.
Yep.
See that?
Probably,
2019, we paid 98, 2020, 75, 2021, 54, so far this year, 29. I don't know what the big push was in 2019 for all the appeals.
It just depends on the cases that they
And that was
have.
prior COVID too. Some of them probably got pushed back. That would be the only thing, they might have got pushed back now.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, I agree.
Those attorneys like to get continuances.
They do. I think we'll leave it. Thank you.
Leave it.
Then do we,
To
okay.
leave that at 90?
Yes.
Yeah.
Just too unpredictable there.
no.
No.
Then contractual services, 33,300, says amended 7/15 as in July 15th or as in
July 15th.
July 15th? Meaning they amended their request, the 53. $3,000 to hire temporary service personnel to do health screening, off-site jury trials. 50,000 to hire a psychiatric. Okay.
Oh, yeah, that was all that they came in and asked for in 21.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm not sure about that.
And they've not spent anything this year, they've not
No.
spent, they didn't spend anything in 2021.
Was it in green?
Is this not part of that, what we've hired now through Lit? Melissa?
That's where I was wondering why this wasn't coming out of complete correction.
Remember them talking about it. Because they're able to
Do you
get
remember
people on
that,
their
Calissa?
medicine faster.
When they put this person in
balance out, so-
21?
Yeah, but.
Was it in the middle of the year that he came in and asked for it and we did it for the rest of the year? And then all of a sudden last year we moved, is that the same one where we hired 2 people out of Lit now?
Yeah, but that was that last year?
Right, that sounds.
Because there was,
Because the judge came back in too.
yeah,
Yeah, but
Otherwise, we got all kinds of people evaluating the defendant.
That's what I'm thinking,
Yeah.
yeah. This
I
is-
mean-
I think this covered already made correction for some reason. I really do, I really think
Well,
that this.
I mean, it's, might be handled by community corrections, but we pay for them out of,
hold on a minute, I'll take that.
because there was the nurse practitioner that
Yes.
sees them because when they're arrested, if they need to get medication,
And that's
anything
what this
before they
was
go in
for.
jail, kind of help out.
This was for.
well, that's
what-
what the note was, the nurse,
Yeah.
to assist the course in evaluating significant mental
That
health.
was
And
like
I thought it
the
was
moment
supposed to
they
be a
appear.
nurse practitioner that was doing that.
Yeah,
That's it.
it's like the moment they are, like,
Was it-
within, when they're
But I
arrested.
think that we moved it to the public safety correctional rehab.
It was
Well, that's
for
the correctional rehab, I think is what we
a nurse practitioner, psychiatrist, LPN, and a psychologist.
have.
Is this court or
That's what is in the rehab, correctional rehab for part of the,
And that, like,
Dual
it does
diagnosis.
a couple of them, and then community
Yes.
corrections has a grant, does a couple of them.
but
But
that's
I'm
for the
saying,
dual diagnosis.
when it originally started, didn't they come in the middle of the year or something, and that's why we did this? Because this
Wow.
would have been amended July 15th for 3,000 and went on.
Based on
and
the amounts that they
On
have
20.
for the nurse practitioner and the psychologist, that 50,000 is nowhere near.
No, we were only doing the rest of the year.
It's not,
So
doesn't
that was
cover
only-
half a year, because it's 140,000, 144,382.
Is that for 2 people or 4 people?
This is for nurse practitioner, psychiatrist,
This is just the psychiatric nurse practitioner. I
it's,
think.
it's contractual, so I mean, so they're saying 140,000 a year for the nurse practitioner, doesn't necessarily have to be one, but for
Here's what I'm-
services, and 144,382 for psychologist services.
Let's see.
But I would say,
I'm just
I
saying
think they're
back
two,
then.
I think they're two different programs, but apparently they're only using one of them.
Yeah, I thought they just came in and asked for like the middle of the year or something prior to this, that's why it was in here.
But they wouldn't have kept it the same every year.
But I'm
full
not
years.
sure why we still need another one, because we've got all kinds of them.
If they've not been spending them.
They didn't spend it last year or this year, or so
They
far
haven't
this
spent
year.
anything out of
Did-
that account this year, right?
When, did we add it in 21? Or do we add it in 20?
I think it got added in 20. We added it in 21. In 21's budget.
Okay. Nothing mid-year in 20?
No. I mean, they paid labor link $140.
That
when they did
correctional rehab was added in 21 as well.
Oh, Jesus, how many?
But I mean, it was adopted with the 21 budget in 20. So it was two different positions, but either they're not aware of what they have and they're not utilizing this, or they just don't need it. I don't know. But they've not spent,
Yeah.
it's not in his budget.
Bill's-
This is in the court's budget. I understand that, but it's in the court's budget. That's not his world.
We're talking getting rid of it, or
Okay, we're gonna zero that out and
that's where it's going towards a couple other things.
They come in and explain it.
yes. We're zeroing it right now. Travel expenses, they increased due to cost of travel. Cause that was a pick a number out of the air, increasing it from 3,000 to 5,000. They spent 522 in 2021, and it looks like 1521. I'm on line 37,200. They spent 1521 for 22. And they even took 2,000 out of it in 2021. Maybe stuck it in printing.
Looks like they put it in printing. If it's the same $2,000.
Yeah, I can't see where it went anywhere else. Ask for it next to 2,000, but doesn't look like they spent it either. Is that okay with you?
What are we doing?
Drop it, leaving it at 3,000. We're gonna leave that at 3,000, not increase it to 5.
Printing, did you leave it 15?
Yeah, because I mean, it looks to me like they're spending, well, they spent it, and it even it looks like they took the 2,000 out of travel expenses and added it in 2021. And so they spent 15,890 in 2021, but apparently they've spent only around 8,000 this year on printing.
It's about halfway through though.
8,800.
Yeah, I think we leave it.
We're gonna leave printing, yeah.
Travel went to 3.
Yeah, travel state, or yeah, went down to 3.
This registration doesn't look like they're using it either.
Do we know what that, we're registering for what?
Conference, I
Doesn't look like
assume.
anything.
A meeting, a conference, or
Is it different?
mileage, they asked for an increase of 1,000.
Where are they going? They didn't spend any in 2021 of the 2,000. And maybe 681 if they haven't added to that so far this year.
Keep it at 2. Have they added any more mileage-wise that you can see expenditures?
Sorry, are we going too fast? Sorry, mileage.
Yeah, if they've spent any
37.
more than that this year.
I'm sorry, we didn't even let you finish looking up the registration fees.
First Financial Bank's probably not trips to First Financial Bank.
For registration fees, what that was for.
It's probably credit card.
So really not more than,
Yeah. So we're gonna keep mileage at the 2,000 and not increase it to 3. No, we're gonna drop that, take that off to 0. So on the second, of that page, it looks like the changes are 33,300 contractual services, 0. 33,310 contractual services other, dropped to 50,000. Travel expenses, 37,200, 3,000. 37,300 registration fees, 0. 37,400 mileage, 2,000.
just to verify, 33,310, that's for, the court that, Judge Reddy had talked about, the social worker.
She agreed to drop it to 50.
Okay. I wanna see how that program goes on, I think it'll be interesting.
And then June pretty much agreed that the service agreement should be 13,000, not 30,000, or?
Yeah, they
did you get-
sent a letter.
Okay. But, okay, never mind. Okay. And then this,
Well, that's,
Into that.
well, and if you look at the notes for 2021, it's increased due to mental health evaluations. I wonder if that nurse practitioner type position's gonna help with that too. Hopefully. I think they've got a lot of dual diagnosis stuff.
the service agreements, for some reason, 13,000, and they, in 2021, they had to move 1,200 into it to make it, but I guess they spent 13,715. And then, is 13,000 gonna be enough? There. Well, yeah, she got,
She said
I
that's
think she
changed.
accidentally put,
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, they had a typo on it.
I think we just leave it alone.
Yep,
That
I agree, because if they've already.
I think
spent
I-
it-
Yeah,
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
I have the letter where she said that, 39200 service agreements requested 3,000, correction 13,000.
You're talking about the law books.
Yeah, didn't.
That's what I
Didn't
thought.
Rob Roberts say that they buy the law book? Because it doesn't look like it's being spent out of the court. They must. Yeah, they transferred out of it in
Yeah.
we could zero that.
Didn't spend any last year.
And they took the 5,000 out, transferred it someplace else. Okay.
Okay, zero that out. I think they use a lot of that,
Good for
what is
you.
it, LexisNexis?
Yeah.
Law book Nazi.
Okay, 44,480 office furniture. They've not spent anything this year, and they only spent 1321. But they, wait a minute,
13, 20, and 21.
1320 and 21. But for some reason, they dumped another 694 in there, so they had 3694. They only spent 1320. And then they spent nothing so far, it looks like, in 2022.
Did they encumber 694? So they encumbered 694, so technically, they only spent a little over 600 in 2022.
I think we dropped that to 1,500.
What you may wanna do is mark that one as one of, if you have to go back and cut some more.
Be able to
Office
cut-
furniture is an easy place because, so they don't get a desk.
Yeah. To cut more than 1,500, you mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If you remember, we talked about we should probably mark those.
Yes.
If you wanna highlight or,
Well, because it, yeah.
it's a want, possible.
System hardware. Budget.
Yeah, that's, looks like they've spent most of it.
Okay, for the system hardware, they've only spent 66, or 7644 this year, right? 92.7, okay. And it looks like it, according to the notes, they needed it for video courts for probably COVID reasons. That's why it 40,000, but we dropped to 36.5, I guess. And they're asking for 40 again.
Cheryl, can you look and see what the 2020 budget was? Yes.
44,520.
So,
Or 2019 before COVID.
Okay, so it's pretty much been 36.5 consistently.
And what they spend in 2020?
Did they do an additional in 21 for $45,000?
2019 is pre-COVID,
Okay, yeah, 20 first.
because they're not spending.
So they spent about $6,000. Okay, go to 21. Is that an additional appropriation for 45,000, or did they transfer all over the place? Or encumber?
Yeah, the equipment. Is that the
Maybe
first
it
year?
would
Yeah,
come.
they,
That was the first year I was on.
Okay, what about video conferencing for COVID?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then what about 2019 pre-COVID? And so they should have that software now if they need it. They don't need it. They only spent 6,000. And spent 19. They spent 46,000?
They asked for additional because they needed, video conferencing equipment, but this also covers if they need computers, monitors, keyboards, mice, mouse,
Jesus.
all of that. Anything that they're, because they have their own IT person, any equipment he needs for the court personnel. That's where they get that from. Instead of going to our IT budget, they go to their own budget.
And they've only spent 9,217. Yeah, except in that one chunk. What do you guys think? Yep, that's fair.
They're gonna drop that to 25,000.
Look for continued
Yeah.
good stuff and that the equipment's well.
For computer software, what have we spent this year? 'Cause it was 9,500 in 2021, and they took 1,000 out, and it gave it somewhere else, and then spent 8241. Then this year, it's 9,500 again.
Spent about 5,000.
But they spent, yeah, 55, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
For computer software, we're gonna drop that to 9,000. Yeah,
25, yes.
And then there's nothing on office machines. How much did that bring us down from what was requested? Can we get a total on that?
What was the total you had before you dropped the salaries in? We'll see if we want it. Oh. 296, I'm gonna add that in.
$676,800.
You have what? Yes, we took drug testing, we left it at 55, at least I did. Okay, I feel, might feel a little bit better now. Let me tell you for sure, 732.3? Is that what you said? Okay,
732.3 is what? That's the changes?
that's the total. Yeah,
Not the,
with insurance.
I'm sorry, tell me the number again, 732.
732,300.
I
Who's
was just
threes and
curious how
fours
much we
plus insurance.
cut. Yes.
was 2740.
Oh, yeah. That's true.
They really wanna feel like they cut that 100,000.
Are we going to,
Oh, yeah.
what are we going
Make a
to?
motion.
Oh, sorry.
You want me
You wanna
to
make, you make the motion, you did a lot of work over there.
Which, I mean, you're
I
more
did,
than-
I did too, but
you're
you're
more
so
than-
much better at motions.
Okay, I'm gonna move that we approve, Circuit Court 0232 with the following, as requested, with the following exceptions. Line 21000, office supplies, drops to 20,000. Line 25400, foods, drops to 0. Line 30042, supplemental to community correction, drops to 25,000. Line 30044, supplemental to work release indigent program, drops to 45,000. 30200, bond employees, drops to 0. 30700, legal services, drops to 3,000. 31000, drug testings, I'm sorry, that stays at 55,000, just wanna see if you're paying attention. 32290, judge pro temp, drops to 2,500. 32320, per diem pettit jury, drops to 30,000. 33300, contractual services, drops to 0. 33310, contractual services other, drops to 50,000. 37200, travel expenses, drops to 3,000. 37300, registration fees, drops to 0. 37400, mileage, drops to 2,000. Just to double check, 39200, service agreements should be 13,000, not 3,000. 44202, law books, drops to 0. 44480, office furniture, drops to 1,500. 44520, systems hardware, drops to 25,000. 44540, computer software, drops to 9,000.
I will second that, matches my numbers.
Can you repeat that?
Because like,
I know.
can I, possibly, will I don't think so.
Have a motion and a second. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Fund 0001, clerk.
One of the things, this particular department has two other supplemental funds, which is the clerk perpetuation and new clerk incentive, that you may possibly be able to shift things to. But I will also tell you that I believe in the payroll, there's one extra person in there that's being moved from new clerk incentive. But what I'm going to suggest is that maybe not leave that put that position back in new clerk incentive, but to put a reimbursement in new clerk incentive for at least part of that employee's salary and benefits. Because it can't fund it in its entirety. Because the revenue stream for new clerk incentive is 48,000, and an employee's gonna cost more than that with benefits.
Is this a new employee? I can't recall. Is it an
It's an existing
that they're going
employee.
to transfer?
Do a reimbursement, but leave the person in the general fund. And then say, okay, we want to increase the general revenue by $40,000 or whatever it may be to cover the expenses of that employee that they're doing that's child support related.
So you wanting to leave the person in the general fund and then reimburse out of the new clerk incentive to the general fund?
Yes, I think that would be easier than paying the salary out of new clerk incentive and the benefits out of the general fund. I think that's kind of a little bit of a nightmare tracking. I think it'd be easier to leave the employee in its entirety in the general fund and then reimburse the general fund with the revenues from new clerk incentive.
I'm kind of the mind still that we don't do anything with employees or payroll or anything until we get anything back from Baker Tilly.
So you don't
I
want
don't wanna
to,
make
you don't
any
want to move
changes.
that employee to, because right now what they've, I believe what is in here is they're moving one employee out to, the clerk perpetuation fund and moving one employee from new clerk incentive to the general fund.
So these aren't new employees, they're already there.
They're
It's just
existing
about-
employees.
It's just,
And
it's just
it's
about
changing
it's
the
about
funding
funding
source.
right now.
Yeah, we're not adding employees, it's changing funding sources.
Okay, we're not adding employees, we're not doing anything with their salaries, just
Just kind of
changing
where the
funding.
money's coming from.
That's where the money's coming from, okay. And if we're getting it, not getting it paid out of the general fund, we're actually getting money put into the general fund for it, for that employee, that's what you're saying, correct?
Mhm.
Okay.
I believe when, let's look at new clerk incentive.
Where is that?
It's 88.99 and it should be,
about half through.
There's
About third of the way
clerk.
it's about halfway through, it's about all I can tell you. And about on the last third of page on the tab was.
Oh, I see clerk perpetuation, yay. Yep, got it.
So the only thing they've requested is almost $8,000 for professional services.
Right.
And I believe that was to pay the individual that does the cost analysis or
Right, finds the
allocation.
extra- That Dossett Consulting.
And we're looking at $48,000 a year in revenue. While you may wanna try to maybe not make it 40,000, maybe make it 35,000, so they can at least build it, or if the costs come in higher for the professional services. Did Judy fill you in? Yes, I thought it would be easier to reimburse than it would be to pay benefits out of one fund and, cause they clearly can't pay for a whole employee. Yeah, so if we can do that, reimburse the general fund. You
So
need
will
to
this
put
have a, like, an extra line item on, like an item on it that says reimbursing?
Yes. Right. Well, they haven't decided that yet, but the annual revenue is estimated at 48,000. They have a budget request of 7,920.
And I kinda like what you
I
said.
think that's what I got off your paper, wasn't it? What's yours
Yeah.
say?
7,000.
I updated mine to yours, I think.
Yeah, projected revenues of 95.57 per quarter, is that what you have? And that's for Dossett Consulting finding funds for child support?
I was pretty sure I got that off your paper. But I wasn't gonna question right now. Historically, I've not. But so, that leaves 40,000, but that's on the assumption, I don't know how steady those numbers are. Have they held steady at those rates, or are they dropping, or are they increasing? What, has there been a trend over the last 2,
And
3
then
years
this
on
revenue
revenues?
is from, is this from collecting child support? Or is it set differentiated that way?
You mean about what else they're spending out of there? Well, guess what? We may have to reinforce that.
Good luck.
Mm-mm. I know they don't.
The 7
Professional
line.
services.
To hire. Purchase.
what they're actually spending it on.
I know why you did it.
So should we not do reimbursement through this? Is that kind of what you're saying, or not necessarily?
What I,
Yeah, outside of this.
yeah, they're gonna have,
So we,
basically, you're funding a $70,000 employee for 'em. And you're only, this is now only costing that fund 35 to 40,000.
so in order to make this clear that this is what it's specifically for, is that something that we do in our motion within our acceptance of this, or?
Exactly. It's kinda like with all the perpetuation funds. And no perpetuation fund, you don't have a lot of control over.
But you've specified this professional services that way, to be able to that's where we reimburse it.
It's
out of.
more of an issue helping them keep on track with their budget, because they either think that I have an appropriation, doesn't matter if there's cash, but it's to give, basically it's placeholders. Nope,
Yes.
you gotta spend it on this.
Yeah.
So it's to
Gotcha.
keep them on track.
Gotcha. And not having enough left.
Sideways.
Sideways.
So we just need to clarify that the employee's here.
So, okay, but we haven't approved this new clerk incentive yet, have we? Okay, so.
Well, you did, but it was with the understanding.
We approved the 720 with the
Understand
understanding.
we're coming back, right?
Okay. Clear as can be.
So did you by
How do we
chance look at the
propose this?
revenues?
Do what?
How do we propose
Kinda take
this?
out
Do
the
we need to do
25,000
anything?
from the pay prosecutor.
So Calissa, do we have to like make a proposal for this, or to do it that way?
No, I mean, you need to put it in the budget. There's a line,
Here's,
I was gonna look in 15290.
in,
And you're gonna put it in Fund
Okay.
8899?
Yeah.
So what-
which line?
Uh-huh.
what line is it?
I don't know, I thought she said 15390 or 290.
I don't see a description.
They'll have to add it in.
Mm-hmm. So the 9,500 is consistent. Oh, so. But the 9,500 does? Oh, so 48,000's pretty spot on. Mm-hmm. So if you wanted to be consistent with what we've did in the other funds, you have a line, an account that's 15290, reimburse county general.
Okay, wait, is this in the new clerk incentive,
Yes.
that we need to add 15290?
Mm-hmm. And then, and that's consistent with one we have in public safety, Cheryl. And then you can add an amount, and 40,000 would be your absolute max. You can go
And then-
anywhere
but
from
35
zero
would
to,
give us a cushion.
It gives you a little bit of cushion, to see what happens, and if you wanna bump it up next year, you have the ability to bump it up next year, but it doesn't take them down to where they have no wiggle room.
I don't know, with the potential cost of that consulting, that kind of concerns me if we do it to the
Well,
max.
if you remember, she added 10% or something to that. That it was normally, it was 7,200 and she added 10% because she didn't know if it's gonna
Oh,
increase.
that's right, because normally we pay 600 a month,
600.
Yeah,
10% just in case.
We're gonna add 15 reimbursement.
there's no reason why
With
she
general
should be so
fund,
far.
35,000.
Yeah,
They got
yeah.
40,
Cause even
40,000.
now,
35.
That's kind of what I
the
said.
cash balance 22,000. I mean, June 30th.
Okay, so just to clarify, what we're gonna do is for the Fund 8899, the new clerk incentive, we're going to add a line 15,290 to reimburse the clerk general fund 35,000?
The county general fund.
I mean, county general fund, sorry, yeah, I had a few.
Yes. And then we will add $35,000 to the revenue for 23 on the general fund.
And that, but we don't have to do anything with as far as when we're accepting the clerks. Okay.
No, because you're gonna leave that position in your payroll,
Okay.
but it's gonna cost the general fund $35,000 less, even though you have to appropriate it so that you can pay the employee. And then we increase our revenues by 35,000.
So we don't need.
Got it.
Yep.
That's about all you can do with that fund, so if you wanna make a motion for that on the new clerk incentive.
I just closed it.
Okay, so I'm gonna make a motion that we approve, 8899 new clerk incentive with the following exception. We're gonna add line 15290 reimburse county fund 35,000.
And I will second that.
Have a motion and a second. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes 3-0.
I will say that with this being a reimbursement for payroll, that covers payroll and salary, so if, let's say there was a vacancy for 2 months and they didn't expend 35,000 in payroll, but they had it in benefits, it's up to 35,000 total, so. And it looks like if that person were there, as long as they work 6 months out of the year, you'd get the full reimbursement.
Now back to,
On 1,000.
Back to clerk.
Right. Can we do the same request as far as what they've spent so far this year for line 21,000 office expenses, and then 2019 prior to COVID? For office supplies. I mean, they went down 5,000, but it looked like the request, but they spent,
Yeah, only 2022 so far.
and they only spent 25,000 in 2021. Okay. Yeah, I'm just thinking prior to COVID, because they increased the requested budget to 49,000 due to COVID in 2021. But I was wondering what it was. That's what they spent? Yeah. Yeah.
What's that have to do with office supplies?
Got that as office supplies?
But they didn't even put
Yeah,
janitor
they
and
didn't
cleaning
put
supplies
janitor.
No,
there.
they put it under
Yeah,
I think they put it under contractual, didn't
Probably.
they?
in 2020. Okay.
Does it, well. As it doesn't look like it
13.
matters if it's a,
25, 6,
election
17.
year or anything like that.
No,
Mine says 25, 6, 17, and
21.
wrong fund? Oh. Oh.
Okay,
Okay, that makes more sense. I'm like, how did,
33.5.
so 33, 25, or 33, 20, 33, 29, 25.
Five out of 120 so far this year. Well,
And we're up to 17 now.
yeah, 30.
Yeah.
30, is that what you said, 35? Yeah, that gives a little bit cushion still.
35?
35,000.
Yeah, we're gonna change 21, line 21,000 to 35,000. 30,700 legal services, we're gonna zero that.
Zero, right?
How much is,
I have it.
they spent for 2022 on contractual services so far?
There,
For
and then
33,300.
What'd you say they had? $3,009.
And they're asking for 20 now. Yep. Yeah, they transferred 10,000 to the copy machine from the 24,000 that they got last year.
And did we
They
adjust
took a
the
$24,000 budget and made it 30,000 is what they did.
And this is contractual services, okay. Okay. And they spent, in 2021, of the 12,694 that they spent was, because I guess none of that was for copy machine rental, because they're going to rent a copy machine next year. Is that what they're, is that why they
I think
added-
they started doing it this
Oh,
year.
they did this year, yes, I'm sorry. They paid copy machine out of the contractual service.
A little bit higher. Oh, you don't know, 14, since that's what they got last year, yeah.
For this year, so far, they've only spent
4,000,
3,400.
yeah.
4,000.
Yeah, I think it's probably good, just go with the same as last year.
You don't want to go the same as last year.
You wanna go 10?
Because you're looking at the revised budget, not the adopted budget.
That's true.
'Cause so they start out 24 and they transfer 10 out to copy machine rental.
And
So that's where I'm saying they took a $24,000 budget and made it 30.
they took,
Oh, yeah, because they're adding the 10,000.
drop contractual were you looking up, copy machine was paid out of the 2021 budget, or of that 12,694, some of it was copy machine? Yeah. I think we need to drop contractual services to 10,000. Because they'll have 10,000, what have they spent on the copy machine so far this year, the 36,500? Okay, that's 10,000. Right on, okay. Okay.
Yes, I make both of them 10,000.
Yeah, 10,000 for contractual services, 10,000 for copy machine rental. Which it is. And then there's contractual services other, which is 0, okay, it's 0 anyway. Okay, travel expenses so far this year is $238. Do they go at the end of the year for something? But that last year they spent $1,825 of their $3,000 budget. And was that, can you tell whether that was at the end of the year?
I was thinking they had something in the fall.
They, that's just for. But travel expenses, meaning, hotels, stuff for when they go to these conferences, whatever.
But then they have mileage separate.
Yeah. But they're not using it all, I mean, oh, the other, that's, okay. Oh, yeah. Gotcha. So,
We move all of that right there.
Which one, the new clerk? Incentive?
Which one did we just move?
Uh-huh.
Can we move? Oh,
okay, so,
Oh, I see, from the general one to.
A lot of it's gonna be the number of people they take. So if you drop it, it may just reduce the number of people that can go.
well. Where are you from these people?
yeah,
I mean, they went from 3,000 in 2021, and they spent 1,825 of the 3,000. They requested 4,000, which received 4,000 for this year for 2022 conference, I don't know, but they spent 415, but we don't know how much their conferences are going to be towards the end of
December.
the year. Like December. Virtually. Leave it alone. We'll leave that.
Yeah, I mean, just leave it and see
Cheryl?
what happens for this year.
Cheryl, any of your, like, these, if they didn't have the funds available, They could pull them out of their perpetuation fund, dispersed without appropriations, correct?
We take it out of that.
Or the other thing is,
So I've got that one out of balance. We heard first.
That's what I just asked.
Where's it?
because they increased the elected official one by like, what, 5,000?
Can these two
So
travel
if-
expenses and mileage be paid out of that perpetuation fund? They've got 300-some thousand.
Remove an employee there, but
It does.
Like $337,442 out of account.
But if we, well, I guess what Cheryl's saying, if you have, you've allotted for a lot of their travel expenses for state called meetings out of their county elected official fund,
So we could probably cut these.
you could cut those.
Yeah.
So otherwise,
Yeah, not
you're
all
giving
of
them
it.
2 pots of money.
Yep,
To take from.
Yes.
okay. I'm gonna zero those two.
Yeah, because
So you wanna leave it?
Because if you look at the next page, you're getting into official meetings and education, counseling, and training. So, I mean, you've got 2 more if you look at, so 5,500, 8,500, 13,500 is for training and travel.
So you cut these two completely?
could,
What was she saying?
or I could just drop them a little bit, because we've got 4.
You could shift it there.
So for all
If the
four,
council wasn't opposed, they're saying, okay, that's fine, but
right,
time that they come up with, we need to spread the wealth,
yeah,
departments that are allowed to go.
yeah. Right. So would that apply for all 4 of those?
Yeah, because we've
Yeah.
got, since those 4 areas,
Okay, so let's zero out all 4 of those, 37,200 travel expenses, 37,400 mileage, 37,600 official meetings, and
I
36,
don't know that we can
37.
zero them. Yeah, I
So
don't know
that
that we can
mileage is
zero.
not a zero?
It depends on if they have conferences that are not state called.
And I, yeah,
Sorry, I was being very zealous there.
yeah, because I know in
Slash.
particular, she talked about one that was not through a state thing, that was very beneficial, so.
Yeah.
They've already sent 2 people to that class.
Is that the $223?
I can tell you, I went through it. I don't know that it'd be beneficial for anybody. It's big time commitment too.
Well, my question is, where are they pulling it from? Because like what you said, it looks like there's 4 accounts between travel expense, mileage, official meetings, and counseling and training. Like,
Well, here's the thing. If all this was in one account, it'd be a lot easier to figure out. But they put it in 4 different accounts here, there, and
Yeah.
everywhere. So then you're like, oh, what a... To me, it'd be easier, I don't know why we have travel and we have mileage. It's
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
the same thing.
Yep.
I mean, mileage should be within travel. You know, you have education, counseling, and training, then you have official meetings. To me, official meetings would be something that's a state-called meeting. So that would be an easy one.
So that should go in that. Okay. So as far as mileage then, the budget in 2021 was $700, that's $683. 2022, the adopted budget's $1,500, and it looks like $223 was spent.
Mhm. How much have they spent on mileage so far this year? So we can add it down easily. What do you guys think on mileage?
Back to 700, because
Is that what they had before?
Yeah.
What do you think about travel?
travel expense? Is that all state called meetings for the travel expenses? That one's not either, okay. But if I would,
Two, that's what I was thinking.
yeah. All right, I was down to 0, so I guess 2 is being very generous, so we can do that.
Well, that way, because
Is that
it
okay?
does
Yeah,
leave
yeah.
some until we see what happens with it.
So official.
And then official meetings from,
What'd you do with mileage?
Dropped it to
Seven.
700.
yeah, mileage is cheap.
2,000.
And then the official meetings are those the state called meetings that we're talking about?
That's what I would consider an official meeting. But some of them, if you're an official and you go to a meeting, it's an official meeting.
Just like the business lunch.
If it's gonna come out of another account.
Oh, those aren't state.
But they're getting travel. I get that.
So the expenditures for 2022 and 2021, Bill, 2041, what were those for? Were they, okay, and who'd they pay and what did they pay for with that? That was under official meeting? Okay. Would that be state called? Those are not. No, okay. So they added $100 for next year. We. They requested 3,500, the budget was approved at 2,900. And 22, they requested 2,900, we approved 2,900. All right.
2,900.
On 37,600 official meetings, we're just gonna leave it at the 2,900, not gonna increase it.
What are you doing over there?
What are you doing with that? What are you doing? What?
And then are we doing anything to ed counseling and training?
And then is that, so that's not state, NACO, that's NACO leadership classes for 2 employees. But, and that, okay,
And that was new for 2022.
Yeah, I was gonna say, cause 2021, they spent
We
hundred
didn't
and
have that.
$68 of their $5,000 budget. And then how much was, so then, oh, we adopted zero. Okay, yeah, that's right, sorry. And they transferred 168 in from something else. Do you know what the NACO leadership classes for, was that what the 3290 was, that was paid in 2022?
Probably. It's about $1,700 a piece.
Is that, and is that something, well, I guess we don't have a 3 to 5 year plan to know whether they're going to continue that
But
every year.
when
for
they came to
different
us, they had
people.
talked about having more people do that, so. Yeah, but it wasn't in the plan.
Yeah. 3 to 5 year plan, good.
Yeah, we didn't know that.
It's in the Bible. Yes. But it's not, okay, that's also not something that can come out of that other fund.
No.
But if they're going to continue, they wanna continue doing that, the same amount every year, or like next year, to send 2 more employees.
Sounds like.
Do we wanna keep it at 5?
Well, 3290 was to NACO. I'm sorry.
I wrote a note that they use it for training and for licensing.
And licensing?
I don't know why I wrote license. Maybe they get a license or certificate from the training.
Get a booked.
It might reach.
Get a book from Colin Powell too. Well, not from him anymore, but
3290 was for, I think we should drop it to 3500. Like, then,
Yeah, I can say either 35 or 4. You guys wanna do 3,500? Okay.
and then I think we talked about the 37,850 professional services, that carpet
That's
cleaning
the
needs to come out of
carpet.
commissioner's budget.
come out of building
Building
maintenance.
maintenance, yeah.
Maintenance. Yeah, I wrote that down as carpets, Servpro, COVID fees.
Yeah.
Was that for the
Zero
election
that.
stuff though? Are we still gonna have to do the machines and stuff?
So it
I
comes
put
out of building
carpet-
maintenance.
That should come out.
Not election, okay.
Okay.
So what are we taking, 37?
37,850 down to 0, that come out of carpet cleaning, all that stuff come out of building maintenance.
That should come from building.
I don't know
Or
what service
elections.
agreements were for. Hope it's not the copier.
What?
I said, I hope it's not the copier.
Service agreement.
The professional services?
Nope, I thought you took professional services to 0.
We did, I thought
Okay.
that's what you were talking about, okay, sorry. Professional services, or service agreement, spent 1436 in 2021, 673 so far this year. Okay. It was dropped from 8,500, 1436. The bottled water. Got 1436 so far this year, for bottled water and Time Warner cable.
Yeah.
Do they have any, at least,
Yeah.
do they have, we have no other service agreements for them that they are committed to? Still, that should be building too.
So you're thinking 4?
35. This is for 14. We paid 1436 We've spent nothing so far this year, 23, 29. They spent 69 on a laptop.
Why doesn't that go through IT?
Yeah, 23, 28.
Was that for computers as well? Do we know, or? Yeah, okay. Okay.
3,000.
Again, that was kind of discussed, but not officially given, so 3,000.
Yeah. We're gonna drop that one to 3,000.
How much have they, so far they've spent about 5,000, looks like
Well, we've got-
46.98.
We've got office furniture, and then we've got office furniture other. What's the, I mean,
I don't know, somehow they've gotten messed up with the numbers. You had 44480 and 44800.
can we? Just take out one line that they're not spending out of to avoid confusion? Yeah,
I'm not really sure what the difference is between office furniture and office furniture other.
but they're only spending out of the office furniture other.
Yeah, they're even appropriating that one. So somehow it got appropriated out of that one. That's where they've been going from.
Or can, well, but there's nothing in office furniture. Is it something that we can we have to do something officially to change, to
They
move
can,
things?
they can put the, if you want to appropriate out of it, they can put it in the new number, or the 44480. If you're not going to do any appropriation, it doesn't matter. So what are you going to fund office furniture at?
Well, that's what I'm just thinking, that office furniture as opposed to office furniture, other than we just eliminate that line item, so it's not confusing anymore.
But if you,
But if we move, like, you're wanting to know if we want to
you
put
can't,
5,000.
you can't eliminate the line because there's history on it.
That's right, but there's no history on office furniture.
Exactly. So, but you can, so eventually you don't worry about the at some point, you won't care what the history is 4 years from now.
Okay,
But, and you can move it up there. If you're wanting to appropriate, you can appropriate it to 44480. And then, and that way
zero.
it's consistent with every other department.
that's what I'm thinking. And then we just zero out office furniture other, and then it'll kind of, you'll be able to see the trail that it.
Yeah.
For everyone else's sake, though, doesn't that make sense to put it in
Is
office
that
furniture?
easier for you?
It's just a difference in the numbers, I
Yeah.
think.
Which the numbers happen to be very similar.
Yes.
Which doesn't help.
But do we, I mean, we've spent 4698 this year of, in office furniture other.
I don't know that office furniture is one of those, it depends on what you've spent. It's, do you want to allow it, yes or no?
Yes, and, I mean,
Because if you leave it there, they're going to spend it.
well, the budget was 7,500, they dropped it, the request to 5. We drop it even more, or do we leave it at 5? actually, what if we appropriated 3,000 in office furniture, 44,480, and then zero out 44,800 office furniture other? Just for consistency of what everybody else wants to, if that makes sense.
Make a motion.
Okay,
Oh, forgot about the motion.
okay.
You want me to try it?
No, go for it.
Okay, if I miss one, let me know. We'd like to approve Fund 1,000, General Fund for the Clerk of the Circuit Courts for 2s, 3s, and 4s, with changes to 2,100, going to 35,000. Do I need to say the original amount?
No.
We're good. Okay, 33,300 Contractual Services.
33,077.
Did I miss one?
Yeah.
Oh, legal services, I'm sorry. 30,700 legal services to 0. Then 33,300 contractual services to 10,000. Okay, the next one I have is 37,200 travel expenses to 2,000. 37,400 mileage to 700. 37,600 official meetings to 2,900. 37,650 ed counseling and training to 3,500. 37,850 professional services. Is that the one we zeroed out? 39,200 service agreements to 3,500. 44,480 will have $3,000. 44,510 equipment new, 3,000. Then 44,800 we will be bringing down to 0.
I second that.
Motion.
We added groupage. Four, 6, 2, 8, 40? Okay.
And the bottom line then, did that change what?
Do we need to approve it?
Were you coming up with a different number?
With the bottom line?
Is that, okay. We have a motion and a second. Those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed, motion passes 3-0.
Well, I don't know, but did you go to get something?
Take you to the restroom.
Maybe real quick, maybe wherever we stop tonight, is it possible for tomorrow to print off new sheets but select columns that are maybe ones they've been looking at more specifically, so like the adopted budget, expended budget for, well, but I mean,
Oh,
past,
no, I'm good.
so it's,
Well, I mean,
yeah, I
gonna
mean,
go to
yeah,
yours.
so let's eliminate some of these ones that they're not really looking at so much. And that way you don't have to, it's easier to go through and look at it real quick. You think that would be, might help it move along a little quicker so that you don't have to look up each one, they can,
Yeah,
I get it, but to me, I don't think,
yeah, I can.
they'll have notes they can look on their old sheets if they really need them. And if we have the adopted budget, expended, adopted, expended, adopted, expended, does that sound like that might work a little bit better. And then you can see. I know, but that gives you some historical information that's out there
Which we've been
on
having you look
what
up.
they're expending.
Anyways.
So that you've got, and you can go back to however much, 18, 19, whatever will fit on a page. Well, and that would work too, but I'm just thinking if we can at least go through and do that for the general fund anyway. I think that maybe it'll help move it along.
You okay with that?
Mm-hmm. And, sure. Mm-hmm. So, other quick question. So, is it still 10 days between public hearing and adoption on the budget? Like the first reading and, okay. I know, but what I was thinking, normally we do it in a 2 month. Well, that's what I wasn't sure if it's still 10 days in between. Yeah, but 10 days from the hearing before you can adopt. I know, but my thought was, in the past, we did it in 2 different months because we only met once a month. And now that we meet twice a month, I'm like, wait a minute. But then I thought, I didn't know about time constraints because we only have a week in between. If that was enough. Between sunshine and regular. Because I thought that would take some, yeah, but that's the way we've always done it. But now that we have meetings twice a month, I didn't know if that would make a difference. But I feel like there might be 10 days in between. No, that's what I was saying.
To
Yeah,
September.
to September. Yeah, I was thinking September, but I didn't know. I think it's 10 days between, I thought it was 3 days for the publication, since it's now online, but I thought it was 10 days in between public hearing and, or what we call first reading
Darren wants to-
and adoption.
Could we do
I-
like,
It was one of those,
Except our calendar's been posted.
you know, one of those all of a sudden, you're like, wait a minute, why are we doing it this way?
how can we change the meetings? Just like a sunshine meeting on a Monday and a regular meeting on the following Thursday to get the 10 days in there?
You could possibly.
As long as
If
it's
it's-
advertised that way.
Yeah.
We're doing the commissioners next.
I mean, it may not be an issue one way or the other, but, I mean, because we can get it advertised, it's not the issue.
We're gonna do a couple quick ones first, I think.
Can we come back to this one?
Yeah. That's what I was gonna say,
Yeah.
that's next, that looks like it'd be really good.
All right, so commissioners, we will skip for now. We will come back to, corner fund zero, location, I guess, 0007. Stayed the same from last.
Yeah, I don't see any changes.
What was her big thing? The transportation? 32,850.
Yeah, those were the 2 big ones that were always out of whack. Now it seems like toxicology and drug screens is another thing that,
Yeah, I've had you do a little bit more of.
well,
But
mm-hmm.
we're on target, I'm assuming, to, same as last year, the 68.9 for expenditures this year in transportation. 68.9, is that still accurate for this year? That includes gas?
I'm gonna tell you, I probably would not mess
what?
with, I would not deviate from, or, cause,
From what she's asking.
because the amount of deaths, the cost of transportation has only gone up.
That's
So-
what I'm concerned about with the transportation of corpses, if that enough, I guess that's one thing that I guess she'd have to come back and ask for
Problem,
later.
you can't predict how many people are gonna die.
Well, I didn't know if that included mileage, the transportation, is
It
that
includes everything.
incorporated in there?
For cause we farm that out and we don't pay them mileage, or it's included in the cost, however that works,
I'm gonna make a motion that we accept it as requested.
in 7 months.
Did you make a motion?
Yeah.
Yes, it has.
I will,
She was gonna make.
I will second it.
I'm sorry, in the middle of all that.
Yep.
Thank you.
Sorry, yeah.
Motion, pardon me,
I said thank you.
a motion and a second. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed,
Thank you,
Motion
Dr.
passes
Myers
3-0.
and staff.
You can go to Drainage Board, that's an easy one.
Drainage Board,
Oh, yeah.
0063.
Say we're good.
Yeah,
Want me to make a motion?
Go for it, Marie.
I will make a motion that we, wait, hold on, because it's not twos, threes, and fours.
That's okay, they get a rate, it's not a salary.
So, okay,
Good
so just
catch.
go ahead and,
It's like $35 a meeting or something
okay.
like that.
So I will move that we approve, the drainage board.
Even though it's salaries though, right?
You can do drainage, because it's not, they're not in the salary compensation study.
Okay.
So the engineer gets $35 or whatever it is to go to the meeting, surveyor gets $35, or whatever the amounts are, they get same amounts.
So this is the drainage.
So you want to the, as adopted 2022. How about that?
Okay. As adopted in 2020.
Yes.
Second.
motion and a second. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion passes 3-0.
See, I thought I was taking that honest and easy.
We won't do election board.
About GIS. Straightforward.
GIS is salaries, so no, we can't do that. Purdue Extension's really not that bad,
New extension,
probably.
0011.
Most of theirs is contract, that you don't have a whole lot of say-so over.
All right. The other big one is Contractual Services.
Which they said was a 5% increase that's, set by the state, so they can't really do anything about it.
Got it.
They've added wearing apparel.
Yeah, $1,000 wearing apparel and mileage, they increased that, so. Did they participate in the
They
request?
decreased 4-H ag, that's the only, did they participate in what?
Your mileage request for,
They don't have gasoline.
they've got a mileage request, or I guess it's not gasoline, okay, mileage increase of 3,000. But it doesn't look like. Okay.
All right.
Is there one jumping out at front?
Well, yeah, but I guess I'm not understanding it. On the mileage, the 37,400, in 2021, the adopted budget was 13,000. They spent 6130, but, okay, they took 309 out of it, spend it somewhere. And then in 2022, 13,000, and it looks like 2588.
I would guess that some of it may have gone up since the fair was this month. Maybe, I don't know.
But even so, 6130.
But even still, they're not,
It's not even close. The 6130 was spent, wait a minute, sorry, in last year, and even if it's, 6,500 or whatever, which would be half of the 13,000 of this year's budget, they're increasing it by another 3,000, when they aren't even close to reaching the 13,000 of this year's budget
well, I mean, if they spent 6130
of a
and
13,
the rate went up by what, 10%?
that'd be 6,700.
Should we maybe keep it as what it was last year?
I don't even think they that much, doesn't look like. Wait a minute. Maybe, yeah,
Maybe what we need to look at on mileage is look at what the percentage increase was, and if they've asked, do a percentage over what their average spend is or something. Or their appropriation, whichever.
so this year, does it look like 2588 was all that was spent, or mileage? 4365. That does. And then 6130 last year was spent. Can you check 2020 for me? We at least have 3 years to average. Yes, please.
That was a COVID year.
I mean, let's say 6,500, because that's, 3502 and 2021, looks like 6130 was, when they might spend 6,000 this year. That just
Don't
drops,
worry, that's a little close.
that drops half of the 13,000. Okay, then you wanna add 10%? Okay, so yeah, 10, okay, let's say 7. That's good.
Just to,
Yep,
because she really needs to come to us and do a good job.
7,000.
For mileage. Are we okay with everything above that?
Mm-hmm.
7,000.
Leader expenses?
Yeah. Okay. 4-H leader expenses is another one that they spent 3718 last year. Took 1396 out of their $6,200 budget and put it in other places. I'm just, I guess, where is it? Off supplies. Why is another one? I don't know that. Okay, 4-H leader expenses. Looks like the budget's been 6205 right along,
Consistently.
but they're not spending that much, does it appear?
We have an additional expenses on that since the fairs happened. You can see it's on, just lost where it was.
38,100.
867 this year? $
900.
900 then. And last last year, the total was 3718.
Leader expenses last year long, because they started a new group of kids.
So what did you say? Leave it alone?
No, I said it lasts year, well, all year long.
Oh, I asked her.
So it's not like when the fair's over, it's over for the rest of the year, because when the school starts at the end of the year, they start all over again, a new group of kids. You do. I just didn't want her to think that it was done.
Well, yeah, that's right.
You guys going forward?
Four.
I was thinking, okay. I'm always about 500 above you
We're gonna go
guys.
43, or 4,000. Go for 4,000. Yeah, they had to, for fair maintenance, they had. We're cutting these things, but they're also juggling things around, it looks like, last year. Not this year so much, but looks like last year, the 2021, she, pulled from other accounts to be able to make accounts work, and I'm a little bit afraid of.
Some of them may be encumbrances too,
That's true.
because they don't have enough negatives to make it.
So, in fair expenses, it looks like conference boards publication. What have they spent? Well, you probably don't have the amount yet for the 4-H conference fairs, or fairs, awards and publications. You probably don't have that yet for this year.
She's still got lots to try.
Last year.
I think the 38,300, it's been a lot last year. Probably about the same. 38,300.
Oh, yeah, 3,400.
Why did we add, why did we make a $2,000 adjustment this year in 38,400? It looked,
I think they encumbered it.
but,
You don't have a column in there that says 2022 total budget, like you had on some of your other pages.
yeah, that's one. Okay.
So that would've went from 4250 to 6250.
And yet, we paid 428 out of it, but 2,000 was for the prior year. An encumbrance from 2021,
That doesn't make sense why they haven't paid for the 2,000,
yeah.
expended the 2,000.
That's why I'm confused. Okay. Okay. Good.
leave it.
Yeah.
You what? Oh, I know. I'm okay with that, but I am. And yeah, then we can look and see if that'll work.
Do we go ahead and approve?
Yep.
as she
I think it
was on
might
page?
make it easier.
Do you want me to?
Okay.
Did you make any other changes to maintenance expenses or awards?
I don't think so.
Okay. So you're leaving those as is?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, we,
Oh, look at her go.
I'll make a motion to approve, Fund 1,000, location 0011, Cooperative Extension Service, with changes in 37,400 mileage to 7,000. 38,100 4-H leader expenses to 4,000. Those are the only changes. Is that right?
Second.
That's all I have.
Motion and a second. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Pardon me, would you say Harrison? Harrison, it's 0-0.
Well, this is one that, I don't know if you want, like some of those, if you want to shift those to reassessment too.
0013, so some of these to Fund 1224 possibly?
Look at you
Well-
go. Yeah,
What?
like we did on,
Well,
I said, where'd she go?
and like state meetings.
It's an assessor.
Shouldn't that fall under, the state meetings, shouldn't that fall under the other, no? Can't?
assessors are not one of the eligible offices. I don't know why.
So what can we can shift any of these there that we,
You can, but I would, dues, mileage, you could do state meetings.
Those can all be shifted?
Mhm. And you could probably do a location number, couldn't you?
Into where are we putting it?
reassessment, 1224?
And do the same thing for the ones that are county assessor and put both locations on.
What are we moving?
Well, we can. Gas they asked for the same. We can shift dues.
Mileage and state meeting?
Mileage, state.
I mean, I guess you could do gasoline too, it doesn't matter, but.
What kind of a balance?
Hmm.
Good size balance on it.
Honest.
Say the next, that's it.
You can't fix that. Can you export it into Excel? Oh.
It's very
Yeah, it's
close
a little
to
funky
beginning.
there.
It's like the
Yellow.
second in the yellow, yeah. I don't think I don't think I asked for
I don't understand why it puts some of them right and some
what
left.
the balance is.
It did it before, because I remember it on certain.
So I guess first of all, are we okay with dues, mileage, state?
Yeah.
Looks like state
Because
meetings went down $2,000.
Yeah,
Mileage,
wait, if you
same
put it on
for
there, then that
2022.
would, on, what?
State the same.
Yeah, so that would work.
We're okay with
Okay, I
those.
got it. I think if they had a ruler, they'd be fine, or a straight edge.
Yeah, they, most of
I mean,
them
'cause there's no
went
li- you know
down
what I
or
mean?
stayed the same.
Yeah.
There's no lines and you're like, ooh.
Do we have
You all right with
a
switching those three?
balance for, reassessment?
So which one it is, it mileage, state
Dues,
meeting?
mileage, and state meetings for sure. Those either say the same way.
Reassessment?
Yes.
1402770?
What? 147.
Good
revenue is, oh. So we could move these gas dues, mileage, and state meetings to reassessment.
It does.
That way you see.
Gas dues,
Yes.
mileage, and state
Yes.
meetings out of Harrison Township assessor, move it to reassessment.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I think it does for me, it does. Yeah, because that way we're getting. Quicker. Yes, I agree. I like this. What is this? Is this the first copy?
Whether or not it's allowable to be moved into there, okay. So do we just want to
Alright.
come back to that, or just
Yeah,
going to?
awesome. Thank you.
Cheryl's saying that we might need to, check with the reassessment. Might not be able to do it.
They told us we could buy election equipment out of reassessment. Jason Simler?
Baker Tilly?
Do you not remember that? When he gave his presentation, he said we have a big balance, we could buy election equipment. I said, election equipment out of reassessment? He said, yes. I'm surprised you
I would
didn't,
too.
I was like surprised when you stayed quiet the whole time. I'm like, cause I about fell over.
So do we want to come back to this one, or when we find that out?
We pay
What
payroll
do you
for
know?
Harrison Assessor out of there.
State meetings?
I wouldn't do vehicle repair. I would have looked at mileage, state meeting service agreements, dues. That's the ones I mentioned first, but
Definitely.
Do you want to check on those for tomorrow?
Yeah, we want to just
Okay.
wait on it. We'll wait on this tomorrow.
yeah, ask them if we can buy election equipment out of there.
Hey, ask them if the court can do their lunch.
I
business
questioned.
lunches.
What's the next one?
We don't want to do HR.
0106?
Information services?
I don't, that one may not be an easy one.
Information services?
Yeah. I'm trying to find easy ones.
Jail?
Yeah,
Recorder
jail.
should
How
be
about-
easy.
Let's go to jail.
Recorder?
Prosecutor, no.
Yeah, jail's a
Zero.
definite hard no.
0004, recorder.
You have one line.
Mileage, that's it. Where do they go? They need more mileage. Spent $306 of their $500 budget last year. So far this year, 121 or more.
I'm okay with that,
Leave it alone.
unless she's suddenly turned a bunch of stuff in. Has, anything else been turned in for mileage for, the recorder,
I mean, for payment?
for pay, yeah?
121 is all that's been expended in 2022. We're gonna change that to 500.
So
Or
about
leave it
2022.
2023 budget, we, move that we accept the recorder location 0004 with the exception of 37400 mileage being at the adopted budget 2022 of $500.
I will second that.
Motion and a second. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes 3-0.
Oh, sheriff.
That's not an easy one.
I'm kidding. Yeah, very hard though.
Surveyor may not be too bad.
Yeah.
Surveyor.
Soil and water?
Soil and water gonna be,
Oh, I skipped soil and water.
do what?
Not on purpose.
Soil and water, 0750, 0750. Soil and water.
Increase in office supplies, increase in vehicle maintenance, increase in safety deposit box, increase in postage, increase in printing, decrease in rent, travel went up.
Okay, if we go, like, take these line by line, the 800, the increase in office supplies, okay, they spent exactly the $600 of the $600 budget last year. 363 of it this year. We didn't spend anything on maintenance last year. And have spent 200 of their $200 budget so far this year. Okay. Gasoline, is that one that have they participated in your request to tell us how they're,
No, they didn't send anything in.
but I guess they're keeping it the same anyway, but still. 664, 690 so far this year. Surveyors per diem, they spent nothing in 2021. Have they spent anything this year? 30010.
Supervisors?
Supervisors, I'm sorry, I said surveyors. Surveyors. Supervisors per diem. Surveyors. I don't know if we would, if they haven't spent anything last year or this year, we even leave it in there? Are we talking too fast? The 30010 super, okay.
I don't know what that would be. Because if it's truly a per diem or supervisor, that should be payroll related. Even if they don't spend, oh, so if they get something, they're supposed to, but wouldn't it be reimbursed through payroll? Oh, you'd move it to payroll?
Don't they get
It's-
some federal funding?
It doesn't
too?
look like there's any activity.
It doesn't look like they've spent anything ever. Yeah.
They spent it in 19.
But not in 20 or 21 or so far this year.
In 19? Oh,
Now 22. Zero. Come ask for it if we need it. Oh, yeah,
So
that's
you're
true,
just
they
taking
get
that.
transferred out of. We're gonna zero out that line. They did cost about $30, probably did go up, but.
Well,
Assuming dues probably at the end of the year, 'cause they spent
did you change office supplies?
2021, it looks like they spent 600 of their $600 budget, and then so far this year, I guess it's 363.
I mean, I'm okay with it, I just don't know if you changed it.
No, well, they're increasing it. What, can you tell me what else they spent, or if they've spent more than 363 and 2,100? Or 21,000, sorry. 2100.
Oh, it's the supervisor per diem. They have a decent size.
Well, so it's for the board members if they go.
Maybe we
They
should
probably
keep
didn't
it.
have it the next year.
Yeah, because of COVID. Yeah, I attended their meeting at the fair, and like a couple of names you mentioned were on it, so. I know Clint was there.
Shouldn't
So
leave
we
that
probably
in.
should keep that. Have it.
Or either that, they're virtual. I think a lot of meetings like that, they're gonna determine virtual's a lot easier.
They're gonna continue.
I mean,
doing-
especially if it's only a couple hours or
Yeah.
something.
They did beat us. I got there.
Well, I'm not talking about that meeting, I'm talking about this
Other one.
district meeting that they
Yeah,
have.
the district
Leaving
ones.
at the increase of 800?
Must be like a state called meeting or something.
Which one?
Yeah. No, I'm
Four
sorry.
67.
Okay. I think office supplies, both office supplies and vehicle maintenance, we'll leave it at the 2022 budget, 600 and 200. And then the supervisors per diem, we're gonna leave that with the 500 where it was. Which is thank yous. Printing costs, they spent 500 of their 500 budget in 2021. What have they spent so far this year? For 100 printing? Because they increased it. Okay. But we're gonna leave that one at 600.
600 or 700?
Oh, we'll leave it at the sorry, leave it at the 700. What are they renting?
Their building space.
But they aren't spending anything on rent. We've got a $1,500 budget, they're gonna drop to $1,200, but they haven't spent anything at all for 2 years.
Good question.
Increased it from 300 to 700. Spent $10 in 2021.
In 2022, they've already gone through it, it looks like.
The rent, and zero the rent out. What? Yeah. Would we be safe to zero it out without any?
Well, if they've not paid for rent for 3 years,
Pardon me? Same with travel expenses, it doesn't look like they've spent, well, no, wait, some.
no travel and in travel.
I'm sorry, they spent what? And they spent $10 in 2021 and have spent
Well, they spent
$300
$300.
of the 300 this year.
Probably didn't.
Yeah, I mean, you're kind of skewed, is it, over there?
When I went to I know they're getting out more in the schools, and I don't know if that impacts mileage stuff or not, but that's one of the things we talked about at the meetings, like reaching out more to train people and educate people in the community. That might be some of the travel stuff.
Well, they have vehicles. If they have county vehicles and they're driving those, there's no mileage. It's
I don't
gasoline.
know.
So it's only if they
Using their
use a
own
personal
vehicles.
vehicle.
That's not services, diagnostic.
What do we want to do with travel expenses?
We don't, they didn't send us any
they've gone through
explanation
it.
for any of these increases, did they? I thought I had Jan's.
I have,
I mean, I don't wanna cut it below that. I don't know, maybe around 500 or 600.
Posted five,
Five.
200 plus, yeah.
So it's hard, I mean,
So, they've got county vehicles, correct?
they do have vehicles,
They
yes.
do have- So were you saying with county vehicles, there should be no travel expense?
Well, there could be travel expense. She was talking about mileage.
Mileage, okay.
You get mileage for driving a personal vehicle, gasoline for driving a county
County.
vehicle.
so,
So the big thing is rent.
yeah, that's what I think so. And then what do we decide on the travel expense? Have they jumped their budget by more than double?
500.
500, just because they've already spent.
And education counseling, they've spent 150 in 2021 and 105 so far this year. But what, prior to like 2019, what they spent.
Looks like it's always been
So that's
500.
good, yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't, I was just kind of thinking out loud, didn't say it loud enough, I'm sorry. In 2019, that 500, okay.
I say we just leave that one.
And then what are their service agreements for, you know? Or every year, we've had. Okay. Are they, is that a copier or something like that, lease or?
They paid it back to themselves?
Yeah. Well, yeah, for rent to only be $1,200, $100 a month is all the rent they pay. And then, yeah. And then service agreements, what is that, 25?
Cheryl, is this one of those things where they pay for the bills out of another account and then they reimburse themselves for it?
Wait a minute, they do what, and then reimburse themselves?
Soil and Water is like, they have another entity, I don't know, it's like the 501c3 part.
Yep.
And so it pays for things and then they reimburse. This budget reimburses that Soil and Water
Okay,
for those expenditures. So that's why it's going back to themselves.
okay. Okay,
You make it?
Want to make the motion?
you want me to?
Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna move that we approve, Soil and Water 0750, 2s, 3s, and 4s with the following exceptions: 21000 office supplies to 600, 22100 vehicle maintenance supplies 200, 30010 supervisors per diem. Sorry, we're gonna leave that at 500, where it was. 36,200 rent, 0. 37,200 travel expenses, moved to 500.
And I will second that.
A motion and a second. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes
On the
3-0.
rent thing. Yeah.
Want to end it there?
It's all up to you, Chairman.
From here to the yellow, are there any that we can make through Z?
You could probably make it through Title 4D. Port, pretty easy.
Child support.
4D.
Yeah, it's,
9613.
9613. I'm going in
Service
order right
agreement,
behind where we're
3,000.
at.
On the wrong one.
It's about two beyond.
The
So service agreements.
they paid 1632 in 2021. Do you know, you tell if that's for like a copier or something, and what they've paid so far this year?
816 through sometime in June.
That's changed or not?
It looks like it's exactly half of what they've expended all year last year, so.
It would be nice to know if they, maybe, they service agreement it.
It is exactly half of what they spent last year.
Yeah, it is.
I'm totally looking at the wrong place. 4D, isn't that what this is?
The next one, go to the next one.
Oh, just 4D. 4D. Adding.
Visual lighting.
Yeah. Just approve it. I make a motion?
Yep.
I make a motion that we approve, Title 4D Court, location 9613, and general fund as requested.
Second.
Motion is second. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 3-0.
Treasurer should be fairly easy because they don't change a
Didn't
whole
change
lot.
anything.
And do treasurer 0003, treasurer.
Looks like they've added subscriptions.
Subscriptions.
And they took it out of contractual services for 2022.
Oh. 33300.
Okay, of the contractual services $75,000 budget, last year they only spent $37,058 of that. But yet this year they spent $35,207. You know what the contractual services are for? And why it needs to be $75,000?
And then Sure, zero here, your travel expenses,
Licenses the same way, right?
yeah.
I was saying, is it the Brinks truck?
Gotta make the donuts. And they spent $37.58 total last year, 2021?
Is there a monthly fee they're paying, Cheryl? Mm-hmm.
Well, I know they've spent half of their 75,000, but that's almost exactly what they spent total last year. Is this the 37,201 that they've spent so far this year, is that broken down monthly? I mean, there's a, how much is that?
A lot of them are inflated, like office supplies.
Yeah.
Not good at
50?
But then in 2021, they spent like almost 6,000
On what, office
office
supplies?
supplies. This year they've spent 929. I would say.
Okay, can you go back up to the office supplies, 21,000, to find out what they've spent this year? No, I guess they spent 5,900 last year, but. Put it to
six.
6.
Yeah, I think 6 would be.
And then what are other supplies? At 7,500, they spent 13,89 last year and 390 so far this year, but it looks like it might be an encumbrance. So, what, have they spent anything out of that account this year, 21,100? And 1389 was spent out of that last year.
You can take 2,400.
And what about licenses? It's 5,300, but nothing was spent last year or this year. 30750. 30750 licenses.
Is that Guts? They don't have Guts anymore, do they?
Guts? Government Utility Treasurer Service.
Yeah.
Get yourself guts. There's old historical World War II cartoon. Get some guts.
They didn't pay in 20 either? They're not going to tell.
So that 5,300 for licenses, they're not using that.
We're zeroing that out. Dues, it looks like there's something in there.
We're definitely doing that, 3750.
Yeah, that's another zero. Have they ever spent anything out of the 37,200 travel expenses? Cause that looks like it's zero right along too.
They're probably using the county elected officials.
The state meetings. could probably cut the state meetings, the mileage, and the travel expenses, and assume that it's gonna come out of the, oh,
That association.
well, state meetings. So the state meetings, though, maybe it was due to COVID, 0 in 2021 and 0 so far in 2022 for state meetings.
They're just one third.
Okay, so did they pay for something this year, so, in state meeting? 37,500. I'm asking too many things at once, aren't I?
Well, so you didn't talk to me about it.
Josie? Oh.
Oh, okay. But you don't have to pay for those. I mean, you have to pay mileage to get there. Don't they normally do them in districts?
Such a smaller amount,
Mhm.
if we just leave it for this year, 850 and 600, see what happens.
But the state meetings, when
Well,
was the last
I guess
time
I
we
was
paid for
thinking that
state
it's a
meetings?
day
It looks
trip.
like 0 in
Usually you
21,
don't spend
0
the
in
night, 'cause
22. Could this be a COVID thing, they just go to meetings,
and they feed you.
but we just kept the
I would say the state
600?
meetings and the travel expense. Well,
Okay, we're trying to consider state meetings. Is this 0 expenditures probably because of COVID? They didn't attend any?
Well, that and they've taken it out of the county elected official.
So can we 0 that one, do you think?
Do
and have it-
anything you want.
Is it suggested that we zero that?
I mean, would it?
Well, I mean-
It wouldn't cause a problem if we zeroed it out, they could get it out of that. If we zero out the state meetings, that then maybe if they go to a state meeting, they could pay for it out of the other elected officials fund. Okay.
travel.
I mean, really,
You could transfer it, but to state meetings.
The state meeting.
You could leave those the same.
that would be nice if we could get them all on the same language.
Leave it 1,000?
Yep. Get rid of state meetings.
Okay.
That way if they have,
Maybe that's not something we'll do for the 23 budget, maybe 2024. We get that fine tuned, because this is ridiculous.
Should like to have everybody to use state meetings, but if not, put it instead of under like travel expenses,
Oh,
ed
education,
training
yeah.
services.
Mileage, I was gonna say, it's probably for going to the bank.
And it was 266, 2021, and so far this year, 221 for mileage?
Mileage went up. The mileage rate.
By 4 times?
Dave Crockett used to go to every bank. Or he'd go to the farthest bank.
Okay. We'll leave that at 8.
if you're gonna have state meetings, travel.
Okay, so it looks like we're just, okay. Wanna go, Marie, or you want?
You,
Okay.
you're
Um,
understanding this one better than I.
Okay, I'm talking too fast too. I move that we approve treasurer's 0003, 2 streets and 4s, with the exception of 21,000 office supplies being 6,000, 21,100 other supplies being 2,500, 30750 licenses, 0, 33300 Contractual Services, 50,000. 37500 State Meetings, 0.
I second, sorry, that's right.
Have a motion and a second. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes 3-0.
That's the services? Oh, so.
Want to try Veteran Services?
No. How about crime victim assistance
Victims assistance, that's pretty easy.
and voter registration and weights and measures?
This
Victim assistance, it's right after.
veterans might be,
There's only,
yeah,
Victims assistance, exactly.
because it's actually, it's all employees, we're not gonna deal with that anyway, so yeah, I think veterans,
let me ask you a question about Veteran Services. If we're only dealing with the 2s, 3s, and 4s, isn't that one relatively easy?
Well, but then part of, I think he has expenses that go up as related to the, cause his travel went up, I guess that's the only, and office supplies went up because of the increased numbers. So,
just make a motion that we accept Veterans Services Officer 001 through 0012 based on the 2022 adopted budget.
Wait, so that we're doing it based on 2022's budget?
3s and 4s?
The 2s, 3s, and 4s, yeah. That,
I'm just seeing if he hasn't.
Is the,
He's already maxed out his travel.
is the travel based on going back and forth between the annex and VA?
I have no idea.
Extra, whatever.
5.5.
yeah.
So I just, it, I,
If you went with option A, it's this amount, option
Yeah.
B.
So I remember that.
But I'm just
So you
looking,
could do that.
he's already used up all of his travel expenses this year. Worth. So if we go the same amount, then he won't have enough.
Yeah, I mean, that's a whole other issue with.
He should just have one office anyway, not,
Yeah.
that's might force that issue. Yeah. And I mean, oh, for training.
It's not.
So,
But travel, like in 2020, no, that was COVID. His budget was,
he came in during
Yeah, he was
COVID,
fairly
didn't he?
new right when I got elected. I agree with all of it, except I just worry that if we go to travel expenses 500, we're already at 442. I mean, I don't know that he necessarily needs 2,000, but you see what I'm saying? Doesn't make sense.
Yeah, so here's some.
okay, so I'll withdraw what I said. We're,
Sorry.
just no, that's okay, because I jumped the gun and did that without much discussion.
So, in his one Pat B and one administrative assistance, not an AA, I guess that's what AA is. He put 1152 for office supplies, 500 for travel, and 50 for dues. So that would be without any change.
So that's what he put in for next year,
No, for this twenty
or
twenty-two.
for 20,
Yeah, so he asked for his office supplies to increase,
He doubled his.
please expended, adopted.
He doubled his office, almost
Well,
doubled his office.
313, so that was that it? There's an adjustment to his budget in office supplies of 313, is that an encumbrance?
Yeah, 370. Oh, so 840, pretty accurate dues. There won't, $50 in dues, but it doesn't look like he spent anything in dues in 21 or 22. Travel expenses,
Was adopted in 22.
but if she's already gone to the training and it's been,
She did.
is she gonna need to go to training again next year?
Maybe they just didn't pay because they didn't know any better.
Pay what?
The
For
dues.
Dues, okay. Then we moved it, if we move to travel expenses, if the travel expenses are for his person to go to training,
Well, the travel expenses that he requested, if there's no change in personnel, is 500.
I understand, but the
And
440.
dues is at 50,
But
and
the
office
442
supplies.
that was spent in travel expenses was for, what's her name, to go,
No,
they
442
do
is,
go
well,
once a year, that's what I'm getting at, is,
she went 2 places and he went 1, is that what you said?
okay. So, theoretically, if they've spent, I'm afraid if they're gonna have any more expenses this year for travel expenses, the 500 isn't gonna be enough for next year if we just do that. So, if we take, what, half again as much? Or
Do you like 1,000?
750, is that what you're saying?
that's what I was kind of thinking, but I don't have a crystal ball to know how many more meetings or training they're gonna go to by the end of
I
the
don't
year.
know. I'm only going by what he asked for
yeah.
in option A.
The option A, if we don't increase anything, he asked for $500, and we're gonna increase it to 750, correct? Or that's,
If he asked for option A, he asked for travel expenses of what?
500, which is with no change.
To employees. That was what we
If
spent.
you add, let's see, if you add 2 Pat A's, which would be 2 positions and another person, add 3 positions, then travel goes up to 1250. If you add 4, 5 positions, goes up to 2,000.
Okay, let's back up to,
Apparently, what it looks like to me is that he doesn't anticipate a lot of education counseling or travel for her. Because if it's a Pat A and a Pat B, which would be him and another, then it's 800.
I say we go with option 1 where there's no additional employees added, which that's what he asked for 500 in that situation, correct?
And that would be 1152 for office supplies, 500 for travel,
50
and
for dues.
$50 for dues.
Which, okay, I'll go back.
So there's back, it's like
What
the
I
22
originally-
budget.
Yeah.
Okay, and then we'll make adjustments if we need to
we need
based
to
on,
add.
either the study or what we decide.
Well, the study isn't gonna tell you if you get more people.
It's not
No, it's not a staffing analysis,
just more of the other, okay.
it's
Okay,
compensation.
I'll go back to what I originally said. I move that we approve Veteran Services Office 0012 as adopted in the 2022 budget. Which means line 21000, office supplies would be $840. And $137,200, travel expenses would be $500. Everything else remains the same.
So, before I second it, when would we then make a decision on anything?
Oh, you're going to adopted. Adopted is $840.
Yes, that's what I said.
Oh, okay. I just wanna make sure I got that right.
Where's this in?
I think,
If we,
for me to clarify,
Oh,
add
yeah,
more
that's
people, we can adjust these later.
Okay. Would that be full
I think it's
council
easier
or is
If
that?
we decide to.
Oh, you?
we'll have to see.
40, 50, and 5.
And if we don't get the utility back before it's time to do this, we're
Let's
not
work
making
on
any
the-
Yeah.
mistakes, please. So this would be accurate then.
Okay.
Just to clarify on this, we can come back and change it if we change.
You can
item
change
boys.
anything.
Okay.
Until the gavel drops and you approve the budget, everything's subject to
Okay.
change.
Yeah, cause I think we, on this one, we'll have to
No, we're
definitely
not
look
doing a
at
bunch of additions.
some of the Baker Tilly stuff. I'll second it as is for now.
Motion and a second. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion passes 3-0. Pardon me.
Victims assistant? Victims assistant?
No, we haven't done that yet.
We
That
didn't
was
do-
veterans.
Did you do
We
it?
did veterans, we didn't do victims. What's that? Oh, report form. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
yes, that one's easier.
Oh, she got it.
Yeah, but I printed each one of you.
Okay,
Oh,
all right. Is that the full thing?
But
Right
just
there?
remember,
That's it.
I was telling her, it's not each separate section, you'll have to look at the page. I mean, there's your department. But they're in alpha order, kinda like your book.
All right,
I might like that better.
yeah, I like that.
Okay, so I'm printing each of you one.
Awesome,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, we'll try to wipe out a couple more of these. Victims Assistance, 0290. Looks like there's only 3.
And it looks like in 2021, on operating expenses, they exceeded their budget. And then,
In 22, they're under,
travel expenses, it's been $865 all along, doesn't look like they've spent anything out of it. And equipment new, same thing. Travel expenses,
That's the odd thing. Looks like, I wonder if they're paying for their equipment and their travel out of operating.
Well, yeah. Because there's no travel expended and no equipment new expended, but they exceeded their 2021 budget and operating expenses. So the 559 in 2022 expenditures, is that an encumbrance from, no, it's not $559 over.
Yeah, there's no adjustment to the budget,
there's
so.
not. On operating expenses, have they spent more than $559 so far this year? Line 36,700 for victims assistant?
579? Did you say 579? Okay.
And
Are they
last year, they spent more than the 2359 budget. It looks like.
Oh, because that doesn't have,
So,
but it looks like they're not spending anything out
Nothing
of
for
travel
travel
or equipment.
expenses and nothing for equipment new.
Travel may be because of,
COVID, yeah.
COVID, maybe they're doing virtual meetings.
operating expenses just more general, is that probably why?
So they transferred, so they didn't spend anything in 21 or 20, what about 20 or 19? For travel and equipment new? Wait,
0.
And travel.
Sounds like we just need to put all in operating expenses being done, because that's how they're paying their bills.
but then equipment new is a 4, so, but there's,
I don't know. Oh, I finally spent something in there.
Think,
equipment new, travel expense 5. If we cut travel expense to 500 and then made operating expenses 2,500, it would have been
Yeah,
around, but
I'd be okay with that.
put 2,500 there and travel expenses 500, and then cut equipment new completely,
Completely, yeah.
even though, I mean.
What do you
they
want to
spent-
do with equipment?
Pardon?
What were you doing with equipment?
Zero it out.
Thinking about giving more to operating expenses, making it 2,500, since it seems like they're paying everything out of that. 500 in travel, and then no equipment.
Yeah, so a total of 3,000.
Yep. Okay.
Okay,
Operating expenses, we're increasing that to 2,500.
Can you do this in a form of a motion?
I'm gonna, yeah, because let me just do it that way, instead of repeating it. Move that we approve victim assistance 0290 with the 2 streets and 4s, with the exception of operating expenses 36,700 to $2,500. Line 37,200 travel expenses to 500. 44,510 equipment new 0.
and I second it.
motion and a second. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion passes 3-0.
Voter registration seems pretty well done.
Voter registration has 3 lines.
Office expenses didn't, they spent $87.50 of their $10,000 in 2021, and so far 2,096. Copy machine, rental. Why, okay. They're adding another 200. They spent
It says increased cost because state sends reports electronically and they have to print them out, is what my notes say.
Okay.
And equipment new, they want to buy computers, 6 desks with computers, rotate them through. So they're not wanting to buy desks, they're just wanting to buy 6 computers.
So their whole budget's gonna change $700.
Yes.
Do we know what they've spent so far in office supplies?
Look on David's report.
Spent $87.50 last year. I'm sorry, what?
Mm-hmm. Yes, well, running half of it, I guess.
Oh, Abby. copy machine rental, they're increasing it $200 because the printing overage or something?
Yes.
And they're needing.
Look. Thank you.
So really, they've
I said
only
good luck.
requested $200 more for copy machine rental.
500 more for equipment due to binders.
You're awesome.
We're good with that.
This point.
I'm gonna move that we,
You want one whole
we
page?
accept
I
voter
do.
registration of
I'll take
voters,
that one.
0010 as requested.
And I'll second that.
Motion and second on to approve as requested.
Motion and second, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Last one, weights and measures. I think it stayed the same.
Been anything in office supplies? Yeah. Yes, contractual services. Who did the pay first? Mark for replacement hired April. One.
Yeah, I did talk to him.
So that was 5,000, 2021, what's the 1,000 now?
I would, originally it's only supposed to be for a year.
That's what I was gonna say, that was then, now is, why do we need another 1,000 now?
I don't know, because he didn't provide any explanation to his budget.
I talked to him about that, but I cannot remember what he said.
Talk to Aaron Gadberry.
Yes. That's the only increase, correct? Or
Gasoline went
gasoline.
up.
Well, do, office supplies, line 21,000 for 0308, weights and measures, what we spent this year so far? Anyway, I wanted to say my mouth back. Circle. Spent 437 of his $800 budget in 2021.
And that would have been somebody else. So he may not even know that he's.
Oh, there it is.
I'm sorry, you're looking at me like, you've got that in front of you.
Should be the last one.
I will tell you that for that 5,000 contractual services, they requested it in contractual services, but it was moved up to payroll, I believe. Because it had to be a part-time, not a,
Way on here, it's,
437, 483, 574. Reduce that?
Reduce what to 600?
Oh, office supplies. Because he spent, hasn't spent anything this year, 437 last year, 483 in 2020, 574 in 2019, and 375 in 2018.
Did you say there's somebody?
if I had to guess, he spent $437 in 2021 because he had to buy new stickers with his name on them.
Probably.
yeah.
And that's about the only office supplies they
They need a
buy.
pad,
Because
right.
they're at the highway, if they need a pad paper, they grab them from the highway, if they, you know. It's to buy the stickers that
Stickers.
you see
Stickers, yeah.
on each one of the
The
machines.
Machines
500 or 6? Let's do 500 on
on office.
supplies, yeah. And then the contractual services, I mean, it's 0 all the way across,
So the 5,000 in 2021, you think was added to
which is a
payroll?
one-time deal. and then
It was put in payroll because it was,
If,
it was a part-time person, it was not a contractual service. That's how it was set up. I don't know what ended up happening, but
The note train a new
Correct.
person to take that
However,
place.
there had to be some more training done this year, not long ago. That person had become a contractual for a few
But-
weeks.
Nothing was
How do they
spent.
do that?
And well, they're not, he wasn't really an employee anymore.
Does he have a shingle out there that says, I do weights and measure consulting?
Yes, Calista.
Yes, he does. That's what the office of.
and
he
I
played-
will
mine was
tell
office
you
supplies.
that-
So we will have some expenditures under contractual services?
No, I will tell you, no, the commissioners paid it.
Okay.
So we can zero that. They-
Well, what my concern is if there's still gonna need to be any training.
Yeah.
But, I was gonna say, that's what I was gonna say, but.
Just
Commissioner's
saying.
paid before, why can't the
I
Commissioners
get
pay
it,
again?
but
You
it,
take-
I mean, the whole point was that that was not a contractual service position. And they set a,
Commissioners paid it last year.
Yep, they can pay again this year.
they set a rate and everything.
And the same with repair.
I
repair
get
of
that you're not
equipment.
aware of it. And here's the bill.
Repair of equipment.
You,
That,
I think this
wouldn't have
284.
been done at the time of
343,
year that the new
204.
person came on. Stuff that's done like yearly.
For some reason, 2018 budget is out. Spent it all. Repair of equipment. What equipment do they have that they would need for repair? Cause they spent 284 in 2021, 343 in 2020, 204.
My guess would be
2019.
his.
so they have their scales
Their
and all
scales.
that.
Scales
I
and
would,
their
I would keep
cans.
some, I mean.
Yeah,
I'd
they've got
like
their
to some
scales.
I mean, can't we drop it to 300?
Or 5.
Well, if we're cutting contractual services to zero, just leave the rest
Okay.
personally.
Yeah,
Well, I
'cause they
don't know,
could,
I mean,
they could switch things around, I guess.
I don't know how you feel about that.
Are we cutting contractual services to zero, or did we want to have that just
Yes.
in case?
Yeah,
Yes?
we're cutting that, cause the commissioners paid it last year. And then we're gonna leave the repair of equipment 600, even though they spent 284 and 343 and 204. I guess they paid $1,000 in 2018 because they had that much in their budget, but why did they do that? Cause then, ever since then, they've dropped their budget to $600 a year, but they've barely spent half one year.
Was his first year last year?
No, 20,
Yes,
20,
last
wasn't it?
year,
Last year would have been his first year.
last year.
was it
Yes,
oh,
yes,
it's only been?
yes,
I say give it another year.
yes, it has.
You wanna leave equipment repair, or repair equipment?
One full
600?
year, a year and a half.
Yeah, drop it to 5.
Yeah, full repair. Hasn't spent anything this year, nothing in 2021.
Are you still looking at repair equipment?
Yeah, I think we're gonna drop that to 500.
Okay. I was gonna say, my concern is that the scales would have something. And, yeah,
They do.
But they
they
haven't,
do
they
by
just,
state. But,
well, I mean, the last 3 years, they spent 284 in 2021, 343, and 204. For some reason, they had $1,000 budget in 2018, and they spent it all.
Well, I can tell you because Mark Bird cut his budget. Because we were going through and he's cutting, he's like, this is what the budget is that I can get by with. So he cut it.
Okay, well, then should we mess with it? With the repair equipment, vehicles, capital stuff?
And the vehicle repair, he put it in there because you don't know when you're gonna have to,
Something
true.
will come along.
yeah. I mean, you have oil, which probably gets highway to do his oil changes and things like that.
yeah, I think they do.
And then travel expenses, what's involved there? Where's,
If they go to training or something.
130 this year, 0 last
I
year,
think he did.
384 in 2024,
I think he
528
did this year.
and 40.
I'm gonna double check. but I
2019,
think he
they
did.
went more than their budget.
Yeah, yes, he went to some training. They have the Indiana Association of Inspectors.
Do you wanna leave everything or have anything else?
Here, here.
The others up here,
And then are we doing office supplies or no?
office supplies, like,
500,
Is that right?
yeah. I think so. So I only have two. Brenda, I'm gonna let you read it, cause I didn't write notes down, right?
okay. I'm gonna move that we approve, weights and measures, location 0308, 2 streets and 4s, with the exception of 21000 office supplies, that changes to 500. 33300 contractual services, 0. 35500 repair equipment, 500.
I will second.
Motion is second. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes 3-0.
You've got pretty much the easy ones done.
Yeah.
Have like-
All uphill.
Well, you've got the first round done.
Oh, yeah, no, I think we're done.
That seems like a good time.
Yeah, I timed that perfectly.
Thanks, Karen.
Yeah, thank you. We will recess until the July 26th at 3 p.m.
All right.
Do we have any scheduled beyond that yet? Or do we think we're gonna need beyond that?
What'd you say? I didn't hear that part.
What you talking about? Don't say that out loud.
Did you officially? Why does my screen never